Hi guys. I think you can hear us. You can hear us. Okay.
Hello.
We had a disaster.
On DisasterCast.
My audio mixer on OBS disappeared to space. I'm not sure where it went because there's no way to exit out of it either. Like, it's part of OBS. It's built in. It's not like you can exit out of it.
Yeah.
And it was just gone. So I couldn't check to see if the audio was working. And apparently I just had to click the properties button, and it went, oh yeah, the audio works fine. Why is there a problem?
The impossible happens on DisasterCast.
Not really. It's not that impossible. We're apparently having internet issues too, so if this stream seems crap, I'm sorry. We don't care.
It always happens during DisasterCast for some reason.
I think my internet gets sad around 10 o'clock at night.
But I just did a D&D session right here where we're connecting
two computers
and then other people's coming into the same network.
Yep. And we had no issues.
And DisasterCast, for some reason, is just like, no.
I didn't see any drop frame. I saw you like...
Is it maybe because Saturday night is probably the big, like, around this time is the busiest streaming time, probably?
Possibly. There's nothing on actual television at this point, because all college football is over.
Mm-hmm.
So now people are stuck watching Netflix. So we might be at peak bandwidth time. That means you guys should be watching us, not...
I was also saying, instead, come watch a D&D podcast that sometimes talks about D&D, but other times just talks about all the goddamn problems.
Yeah, right now we're bitching. We're honestly bitching. I'm just waiting for I think the live stream's beginning to stabilize.
We were planning to just talk about today's session today.
Oh man, it was awesome and crazy.
When
Whisperer got thrown across the fucking pier. Wait, so those are Brian. I have a question for design.
Okay.
Those are piers that float just out, jutting out into the city, and there are no airships.
Nope.
Who the fuck is that? It's because the city used to be in the crater on the water.
Yeah.
And just no one's like, oh, we should get rid of the piers so don't do anything.
You didn't look underneath the piers. They've stabilized them onto the floating city now.
I'm sure they have.
Remember, this was a city. I actually don't know if the actual viewership that we have would know of the past of Xysta. But Xysta, before it was floating, was a floating city, like floating on the water below in Crulin's Crag.
It was normal-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Normaler.
So they lived on like docks and rafts and stuff like that that just floated on the river. And some of them stuck around.
What I love is that there's also like
you gotta honor the past.
I also love that there's clearly also a shipyard because when Whisper mentions his ship came into the shipyard and Xysta shipyard.
The outer side of the city on this side that you're on is the one that does that. It's just more up towards the entrance of the city where the majority of the boats are. Don't lift the boats out of the water.
I knew they did that. I'm stupid like that. I knew it. I'm so angry that I knew that. I knew that was exactly. As soon as I heard that the docks guys just go, I knew Brian's like, there's gonna be some convoluted ass way that they lift sailing ships up out of the fucking lake below and just go, yep, this is way more convenient than building docks just at the edge of the fucking crater that would just be useful all year round. Like, no, we're just gonna lift giant sailing ships.
There are versions of that do that, and people have to walk the cliff.
I know.
Some people pay to get lifted to the city. Other people have to walk a really long. It's like that one from Avatar.
I know.
That really like sheer cliff.
I cannot wait to introduce rail lines to Xysta. It will convenience the city so much.
What does this say?
Rail lines.
Oh, rail lines.
Because they don't want to do stupid ass shit like that. Cars can just be transported by rail into the city. The flaw is the bridge. I'm not sure how to make a stable rail line across that bridge. Because I'm assuming is a wooden designed bridge that flows with the city that gently moves a little bit because it's a giant floating fucking city. Mm-hmm. It's going to move a little bit. So that means the bridge has to have a little bit of give. So that means how do you build solid rail? Like you'd have to do light rail that could flex with the bridge. That means you would never be able to do heavy cargo. You could easily do passenger freight, but you'd have to do light, mine carts, like smaller freight carts.
Yeah.
Could be used. You'd have to draw them forces. So that means that this will always have an inconvenient way to get shit into the city indefinitely. Because even if you built a new bridge that would bring a train line directly into the city, it would have to flex still because it's a floating city. So that means it's not possible. You could build a train line that gets like around the edge of the city and is supported separately. But you'd have to build bridges between that train and the city still, so it wouldn't make it much easier. You hate that I'm thinking about this, don't you? Or do you find it funny I'm thinking about this?
I think it's hilarious how far into the future you see this world.
Yeah, I see it at max around 50 years into the future, which is depending. Obviously, this is so early in the campaign, both of them.
Spoiler alert. The world's destroyed in the future.
This
is the future if you save it.
Oh, yeah, future if we save it, so that's condition 1. There's a whole bunch more conditions, and we don't have time to go over all of them.
Bracket knows
what the future looks like. He totally knows, and that's why...
Oh, actually, he can only speculate.
Because
he's only seen...
He died instantaneously.
That dream. That is the only indication of the future he's actually had.
But he died instantaneously and saw everyone dead.
That and, when he was in the Clockwork Forest, his attire showing that he'd been through some shit.
Either saved someone or was probably dead. If someone made a choice, that'll be fine.
I like his spunk.
What are you? Killed instantly because he's a fucking NPC. Or he's like, hit points.
But yeah,
I see in the future. If depending how Xysta, how big is I forgot the name of the continent we're on.
Ty'Quorus.
No, that's the name of the
entire
planet. Gallandria. I knew it began with a G. I just forgot. I was like, George? That's wrong, and you know it.
The continent of George.
There's a small island called George. There's still a small island called Georgia.
Okay, you read my brain because I was just about to say, yeah, I'm gonna name a small island George now.
I love being best friends.
We think the exact same way sometimes.
It's because we like dumb jokes. We both have a very big opinion of dumb comedy.
What I've realized from your aspirations for the future,
I want us to control Gallandria.
It's basically like in the world of D&D, you have the idea of wanting to make Faerun into Eberron in like the world of D&D. I know you don't know too much. I am actually learning a little bit more of it. I've mostly done homebrew, but I have a friend who DMs for me who does actually in those worlds, so I've been learning a little bit about it. Faerun is very much how, like, outside of Xysta City type of thing. And kind of how Xysta is right now. Eberron is like those floating cities and like floating like airships and stuff like that. And a lot of electronics. It's another world, but it's instead of fantasy, it's like steampunk. Like everything's pipes. Pipes are everywhere. Steam's coming out of them. You don't know what it's there.
It's because I see. This might be spoilers, but it doesn't matter. We already said spoilers, so it's irrelevant.
Everything in this stream is spoilers.
Yeah, so if you don't
talk about things that have already happened, and ideas.
Because we make ourselves drink, so we don't always remember to stop talking.
Yeah, we're a little bit inebriated. I've had a few things to drink.
Oh, I had drinks. So I drank one of these already with a lot of vodka in it. Yeah. So I was already a little buzzed when I came on, and now I'm going to be more buzzed or maintain.
But continue.
I see Xysta not this very second, but it's getting very close to a change where they have an industrial revolution. Mm-hmm. You're getting to see it, especially with the introduction of weapons that shouldn't be in their world and stuff. Like that technology is going to push them a little harder. They already have gunpowder weapons. You said they have cannons. Mm-hmm. So that means, in theory, as they get the right melology, I don't remember the actual term. Melology. They actually be able to create alloys.
Hero 6.
Of iron and steel and whatnot. Actually, are strong enough to make hand cannons that don't blow apart. Mm-hmm. Because that was the biggest problem with hand cannons. There's a reason cannons are big and like an inch and a half thick at the back. Explosion, big and dangerous, and they're cast out of one piece. It's very hard to make that small and compact and controllable.
And I love the fact that canonically, you guys brought guns into this world and gave it to a researcher named Change to look into.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's actually pretty. That's actually a pretty cool.
It's also meta as hell, Brian.
They're going to bring about change.
Well, that's the key.
The thing is, do you know tiefling names, a lot of the times they're supposed to be associated with something about them. So this tiefling was just named...
I had a different thought, but we're not going to talk about that thought. That's not
change.
It's a different tiefling I'm thinking about, and we're not allowed to talk about that one. The pink one. from the past.
The maroon one?
No, not Bracket's past. Other idiot's past. Well, not idiot. She's the smart one.
Yes.
That's the best you get. I know. I'm not. My character doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorta. So we're working on it.
A lot of things are in play in Rain's background.
It's only because it's fun to write.
Yeah, I've never seen you so, like, ecstatic about actually writing something.
Yeah, and maybe it's that I'm not a person who likes writing. I like thinking about writing all the time. I'm a person who makes stories constantly. I will never write them down. It's just not who I am. Because I'm a person that just thinks a lot, and I just need to waste my time away from my brain that wants to kill itself. So, best thing, tell stories in your brain. Rain's been fun to tell stories, and been fun to tell stories with, so that's why I've worked so hard on her actual real stories. Mm-hmm. Like this things me and Brian talked about before we started this, which I will not share because I think it would be better brought up in a campaign than people knowing her backstory. Me and Brian have a detailed written backstory. He has this stuff that he's thought of that she doesn't remember because she lost parts of her life at a very young age. And I have Rain's actual physical backstory that I wrote. Besides the missing gaps, I let Brian work in because I would like giving you missing gaps because it's fun. It also gives mystery, and mystery is fun. That's my favorite thing about fantasy worlds. But we tangented so far off of the original point. As this is on the verge of an industrial revolution. Not yet, but I think because of it's not that the time of everything coming back together is not called times alignment. What's it actually called? Because I keep forgetting.
Wait, what? Like the time before the world, or
the time before the world is called the 1 Second War.
Mm-hmm.
So, does that time of change that where everything aligns again have a name or not? I don't remember if it's been mentioned or not in game. I don't remember. It might have been mentioned in the main campaign, but not with our current group.
No, I know exactly.
I remember you saying.
I know exactly where I wrote it down.
I know you said it, and I cannot remember it for the life of me, and I keep on wanting to write it into shit that I'm trying to write.
I can't wait till when I finish building my PC.
And you can just start digitizing all this.
Because I'm not going to scan them. I'm going to physically write all of this again.
And document
I just want a PC.
Organization. God, and you'll be able to control search stuff. You'll be like F6 search. Tiefling. Yeah. Brings up all the tieflings that you ever wrote, and you're like, this is much easier.
How useful that would be.
Like right now, you're like,
what about this one thing, Brian? Shit, what did I say?
What? Well, yeah, exactly.
I just type control search and find that thing. Oh yeah, that one fucking weird NPC.
That's just completely unimportant. Completely unimportant.
Entertain while I find this, because I actually know exactly.
Where is it? I'm not gonna say what. I was wondering about this because I'm writing some stuff that does have to do with Rain's backstory, but it's relevant to all of our characters technically. If you let that exist in world, because it means multiple copies exist of it. But I would assume only very rich people have copies of it, or people who are in power. Like there's potential, like other people in the Grove would have it.
What?
The book that Rain has.
Okay.
Because it's from the Grove. Though it was published in Xysta, the people who wrote it are from the Grove, and they had it properly published eventually in Xysta, where there's publishing companies. There isn't often a publishing company in the Grove.
Create the printing press, and then that's when a revolution can start.
No, printing press already exists. We talked about this.
I know. I'm just saying in general.
Oh yeah, in
society.
General. That's why I'm saying they're nearing the verge of revolution. Is books are getting cheaper because Rain's translator book she has is a book made on a printing press. It's not a handwritten book, unlike the other dwarven book she has. Because that's the key. That's the beginning. This beginning of mechanization is happening in Xysta. They found oil. They're using oil fire lamps around town. I think steam is just beginning to get introduced because I was going to write my apartment building having steam heat and hot water, and it being one of the first buildings to be redone in it. And that's how. And when eventually I'll show off the actual design of Rain's apartment. Her apartment has the main floor is flat, but right by the kitchen and the bathroom, it's raised up about 6 inches to allow for the new pipe work to be installed underneath the floor because the building wasn't designed to have heat and water. So that's how they did it. They just installed it, and that's why the bathrooms are in the back room. They used to be in the front. They redid the bedroom situation where now they moved the bathroom back so that way they could get the plumbing in, and there's 2 heaters in the walls. That's why Ray's considered to have a fancy apartment. It's pretty much the nicest apartment you can get in the poor part of town. That's what it is.
There are some people who just want to hit things with a special sword. And then there's Conlan.
Oh, probably one thing.
I'm just saying, you break every little like detail of the society down to like.
I love that.
I know.
I'm a person who loves Greek and Roman mythology so much.
I do bare minimum.
You
for
like
the
big
world
picture.
created. Yes.
I like to.
You do all the minute little details. That
you didn't think about what size swords do they use?
I just don't I don't have the time.
Do they have a full silverware set, or do they only use like normal like knife, fork, and spoon? Or do they have a full like 16-piece set? Sure. Which is why we work well as a writing team when we do write stuff together. Is because he was like, "Well, here's the grand picture." I'm like, "Brian, did you forget about this, this, and this?" And you're like,
So I don't remember if there was a name for the moment that they started time. But this is what I thought of when I
Because I keep forgetting. That's why I keep on throwing up the time, fucking up the times alignment being the group name.
I think it was. It was way back in the beginning, and I just called that moment times alignment.
I think that's why it stuck in my brain. Mm-hmm. I think
they're the group, and then they started times alignment.
Okay, but you can say that being canon. That's semi-canon. How's that? He has to decide.
What came in my head before when you were saying that was not when time started, but when everything started. I don't know if I ever talked about it. It's called The Dawning.
Okay, that's fine. Have
I ever said?
I think you said it maybe in the first session.
I'm not sure because I don't think I came up with that in the beginning of what I think I named it halfway through, but that is the actual moment.
But you can retcon. You should have said that when you're explaining.
Yeah.
So we should know.
Well, the Dawning.
Now everyone will know the name The Dawning.
No. I'm saying the Dawning's not when time started, like when time's alignment created thing. The Dawning is when the gods created everything.
That's a separate thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's different. And then we're gonna call the group times alignment made times align, or just call it times alignment because that's easier. I'm okay with that because that means the book has a fun. That means the title is technically a play on words because it's about the group and the time. So it's like how we made a shorter title.
It's like that band that names their first album the band name.
It's like
you'll remember it easier this way.
All right, we're Blink 182, and this is our album Blink 182, and you're like. Okay.
Hey, we're 21 Pilots, and this is 21 Pilots. Well, they call it self-titled, but that's a
version of that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Queen's first album was called, Queen, and their second album was called Queen. The second album, and then they were like Night of the Opera, and they began making real names, which is funny.
Times alignment. They cause times alignment.
I wonder
our goal was to align time, and we did that.
Okay, so that means that the way Rain has spoken about it, both as a group and as a period of time, hasn't been asked. I just wanted to make. It's one of those things I've multiple times. When we were talking to Misfortune, I said times alignment as a thing, not as a group.
Yeah.
And I think you responded as if I was talking about the group,
which is not. Are you talking about the time or the people?
And Rain, because I remember you spat it off for a second, because clearly you had something in your brain ready to answer the question, and I was just like, no, I'm just gonna let it slide. And Rain's just like, no, that seemed to hit something somewhere inside of you, so I'm just not gonna ask a follow-up question. And then she also yelled, I'm asking the question. Rain's like, okay. Because Rain asked like 4 questions before she got any questions. And she's just like, I'm the one supposed to be asking the question. Just
wait, hold on.
You're floating over the abyss of time. Rain's like, yeah, and you're the one who seems to be losing control of it, so.
I can eat you off into the abyss.
And this isn't real, your point is?
You'll never go back.
You don't know that. I'm quite lucky.
Okay, let's just imagine. I let them know, like, her special ability that she did, it basically traps you in there until you take damage.
That's the only way to get out?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a variant of a spell called Alone in Deep Magic, which basically
This is literally what I was talking about.
It lasts for a minute, and it makes it so you cannot see any of your allies. Yeah, you can't perceive them in any way. If they touch you, you rationalize it. You have to take damage. So it's a supercharged version of that.
Yeah, you take psychic damage and stuff like that. Yeah, that makes sense.
And
I assume that's what it did.
No, I'm saying basically, well, you could do that in real life.
I also assume that if misfortune tried to hurt me in that world, I would have taken psychic damage and actual physical damage.
Yes, but I'm just saying, imagine getting somebody trapped in that and then arresting them and throwing them in jail.
No, they are in jail.
Trapped there in their head.
Yeah, well, it's only a minute, so...
No.
So, how long is it for hers?
It lasts until you take damage.
Oh, so hers is a little... Hers has a little...
You take damage, or she lets you out.
Ah, so she can wait until, like, right before they're about to be thrown off the fucking city. That's cruel. Rain likes this woman.
Yeah, that's the extent of her power there. And then her other eye gave her that telekinetic power.
Rain's gonna be like, no flying, no bullshit. I just want to talk. And she's like, you do the thing. I'm just gonna fucking struggle against it. You know this. We're having a conversation with people. Because you're a person, correct? I know you have the mask and the fanciness. Ooh, but you're a person. Sit down, have a cup of fucking tea. Or you don't want to take your mask off, that's fine. I don't give a shit. The place setting's there. Sit down. We're gonna talk. And the play's like, you know I could just destroy you. Like, yes, but I'm trying to have a conversation with you.
I have evidence incriminating you for so many things.
Yes, and as I reiterate, I've said before, waste of time to do that because you're just wasting talent.
I did bad things, forget about them. I am more useful to you.
I promise. Do you want to continue on with your job? Do you want to do your job with the best of your ability? Do you want to protect Xysta? He's like, what do you give a shit about protecting Xysta? He's like, I live here. A lot.
I love you. I'll reiterate again. I've said it in several DisasterCasts before, and I've already said in this one. I don't think I've ever seen you love a character more than you love Rain.
Because Rain
television. Like I don't even think Star Wars characters.
That's a lie. I love Ahsoka Tano, but I don't think about Ahsoka because I'm not her writer. So I just let Ahsoka Tano exist as the character she exists, but I care about the character that much. I have a tattoo of Ahsoka Tano on my fucking arm. Admittedly, if we one day make Rain's family crest, I'll get that tattooed on my body, so that's kind of irrelevant. So.
Did you hear what happened in the Mandalorian?
I'm super aware. She was a BAMF. Spoilers for the Mandalorian that came out last week. We've already determined it doesn't matter anymore in terms of spoilers as in the Star Wars community. We gave you till last Monday.
I was reading an article that some Star Wars fans are mad about the size of...
For like, yeah. I'm not mad.
You understand, because they said the reason why.
I understand the reason why, but I hate it because they've had other people who've played Twi'leks, and I'm forgetting the name of her fucking race. Holy crap, Togruta. Because they had another Jedi Master who they did the full headdress tail, and she did stunts in it. So I'm like, I understand not as extreme as the stunts they had Ahsoka doing. I'm like, it was definitely possible with your budget. It was definitely within budget to do it. And you could have, because also cosplayers have done it with very little issue and done stunts in them. So I'm like, I know the tech's out there to do it easily. But I guess they just decided it was just not worth it or something. Which stinks, because it throws off the continuity of the character pretty badly. Because her Leiku, that's what they're called, the head tails, they're called Leiku, were longer than that at the end of the Clone Wars. So I'm like, that's a huge continuity error. But that was in universe almost 30 years. That's 30 years! Because Leiku are like people's ears, they grow the rest of their life. So I'm like, it's a big deal, it's not a small deal, that's a big deal. I understand why they did it. Yeah. I'm not angry that they did it. That's why I'm not angry.
Just imagine them longer.
No, that's why if people didn't like. People have done edited some stuff.
They haven't changed that to change the canon.
No, it's not changed the canon. They've said that. They said it's for the stunts to do it in the show, and I'm sure that if they get more money,
imagine it longer.
Well, I'm sure if they do a movie that they have better budget for that, so they could push the envelope on that a little more. The TV shows still have to operate in a budget. And you're already doing a whole bunch of special effects for the Jedi that exists.
That's actually such an up-and-coming market right now, with movie franchises just making TV shows to get extra money.
And having movie budgets for doing TV shows.
And they're releasing them? Like all the shows we watched growing up as kids, where's one episode a week.
Well, no. The reason Disney is doing that is because they've learned it does better.
Yeah.
Do you know
because it builds up the
Mandalorian?
anticipation.
Do you know the Mandalorian?
The memes that we can create in 1 week's time.
Also, the Mandalorian is one of the best performing shows in history.
Just from season 1?
From season 1, and now with season 2 doing so, like, because it added even more when there's like, especially all the rumors of Ahsoka might show up. So some of the Clone Wars people who were like, on the Mandalorian, because they're not as big in the live action stuff, like, fine, I'll watch it so I can get up to date. Like, that's what I was going to do. I just got lazy and didn't watch the rest of the Mandalorian because I'm the worst. I know what happens in the whole show. I've kept it on the canon of the show. I just haven't watched it. I know it's a masterpiece. Of course it is. John Favreau's directing it. Of course it's a fucking masterpiece. He's fucking one of the greatest directors of our time. I love that man. He's awesome. And Dave Filoni, architect of our childhood. Good people, man. But like, I know that show's a masterclass of like just Star Wars being Star Wars and stuff and being great. Mm-hmm. And like, I want to watch it. And the episode, The Jedi, which is about Ahsoka, is the highest rated episode in the show and one of the highest rated television episodes in history. It was certified almost 100% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
How many people watched it?
I forgot the numbers, but it was a lot. It was streamed like 30 million plus times. So you're talking about a lot of audience reaction.
Yeah.
And it was like 99% audience satisfaction.
You know why? Because they realized all the people who watched the Clone Wars are now adults.
Yeah, we want to watch something like The Mandalorian. Also,
we want to watch something live action with a lot of...
Well, also, they perfectly did it with doing the last season of Clone Wars earlier this year and having that being heavily focused on Ahsoka. That made us be like, I want more of this damn character! And then it's like, hey, we might do it in live action. We're like, bullshit, you keep lying to us. And they're like, look, we did it in live action. We're like, yeah! Well, they did it with Bo-Katan first, who is played by Katie Sackhoff, who is Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica. She plays two important characters in two of my favorite series, because she's an awesome fucking badass bitch. Shout out, Katie. You'll never watch our podcast.
I'll say, give him a shout out. It'll probably make his entire life.
Probably. That'd be a pretty big deal. She's like the queen of the sci-fi like women. She's like one of those heroines that does that.
Wait, what else does she do?
She's had more shows than this. These are the shows I've watched. And she's been in other shows as well that I've watched, but she's been like a minor character. She's been working with Sci-Fi, the channel, for a long time. She plays the main character. She plays the main character in Battlestar Galactica, the main Viper pilot, Starbuck. And actually, that was controversial because she was a female playing what used to be a male character in the original run of Battlestar, and they made the first show before the reimagined series came out. So that was a big controversy, and she knocked it out of the fucking park. And everyone's just like, masterclass. Like, the weird end of the show got a little weird, but that wasn't her fault. That was writing. She was so scared she wasn't going to get the job. Because her first day filming, she couldn't get a line down. And, like, she'd already filmed the rest of the pilot.
Yeah.
And, like, she just couldn't get this line. She's like, I'm going to get fired. This is it. I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get fired from the biggest role of my life so far. And they didn't fire her. She got through the line eventually. It just took, like, 400 takes. Well, she was trying to say there's several structural decompressions across Deck 7 of the flight pod or something like that. And she had to say it really fast because the ship had a nuclear weapon that had detonated outside the ship and severely damaged part of the ship. So she had to express the damages that she could see from the outside on the radio frantically because they'd just been attacked. And she just couldn't get it down fast. And she just kept flubbing the line. She was getting pissed.
They're like behind the scenes of this.
Oh, she talked about. It's one of her things she talked about in an interview. She's like, I was never so scared. She's like, I thought I was gonna get fired. I thought that was it. I thought it was the end of my career. Because being fired for such a major production, when it's that far along, ruins your career. Because that means you did something so major to harm production that they had to fire you. That's career ruining. And then she did that and was fine.
Oh.
Then she got hired to voice act a Mandalorian lieutenant on the Clone Wars, who then became Bo-Katan because Dave Filoni, who was the head writer and director for that show, liked the character so much that he'd kind of like half-written. It's like how I half-wrote Rain to start off with. It's kind of like a joke thing, and I was like, oh, I have so many ideas. And that's what happened, is he just, all these ideas just flooded to his brain. He's like, oh, no, we're keeping the character. We're running with this now. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. That's like what I did. I don't. What I was originally saying, I don't dictate those characters in their lives. I dictate Rain. I wrote the character. She's my creative entity, my creative property. So that's why I'm so obsessed with it, and that's why I think about it so much more, because I control the character in its future stories. I don't have control of Ahsoka in its future stories. I can just bitch as a fan. And be like, oh no, her leg you aren't long enough. Like, and I didn't even bitch as a fan. I saw it and I was like, those are a little too short, but I understand why you're doing it. And I was never angry. I was just like, it's like a small visual flub. They happen sometimes. So I'm just like, if that's what you had to do, that's what you had to do. I wish
you still get to see her.
Yeah, no, it's one of those. An animated character has crossed her way. No other animated character except for Bo-Katan has crossed over from there into the main canon timeline. Actually, there might have been other animated characters.
Obviously, the ones who are canon in the Star Wars live action are canon in Clone Wars in the animation, but new characters in the
all characters in Clone Wars. The Clone Wars is a canon show, but it's designed to be kind of self-contained as a story.
None of those characters have shown up in live action except her.
Some have, but we're talking about side characters that aren't important. Obviously, or Superman characters that they already were in live action, then went animation, then came back, Anakin and R2-D2 and stuff.
In case it's unclear, I did not grow up watching Star Wars.
Which is fine.
I'm just getting into it a little. My friends have weaned me onto it.
Star Wars is great.
I watched Attack of the Clones when I was 7, and I was like, eh. And then I saw Phantom Menace my junior year in college.
Yeah, people do not decide
from Chris Harmon.
Yeah, that was a terrible choice.
And I fell asleep through half of the movie.
Oh man, Phantom Menace is a movie I like. I like political intrigue, and I find that fun. That's also why I like Attack of the Clones. Both those movies are really politics heavy.
It's a lot of political intrigue, but if you don't understand any of the politics of that universe already,
it's completely it's completely.
What is this?
You don't understand how the Republic's political system works to begin with.
It's understand that there's a spaceship race through the valley. Cool, I remember that.
And you have to know that the Republic is at its dying days because of corruption. That's what's happening. Is the Republic's so corrupt that it's collapsing it from the inside out. And then Palpatine decides. Spoilers for the entire Star Wars series. Palpatine orchestrates everything and causes it. You'll figure it out pretty fast, Brian. They're the same fucking actor through the entire fucking show or movie. Ian McDiarmid is a god. He's a wonderful actor. I'm sorry, did I spoil Star Wars for you? That's public knowledge.
Wait, is he?
It's a public knowledge thing that shows that Palpatine's the bad guy.
Is he really the bad guy from the beginning of the episode 1 all the way until
episode 9? Yeah.
Revealed in episode 9?
Yep.
Okay, as somebody who isn't...
Totally too much.
Hold on. Anybody who isn't in the big Star Wars series like me, around that time, we just saw everybody blowing up about this voice. And I was just like...
What's happening? And then memes of some old guy going down an escalator and being like, congratulations, thank you. That's all the memes. That's all the memes on everything.
Everything was just, oh my god, Palpatine's back, Palpatine's back.
I love it how meta that movie was.
What the fuck? Okay, I know the name Palpatine because Star Wars has invaded society so much, I have no idea who he is. Is this a big deal? And everybody, yeah. And then I'm just living beside this right here.
What's so fun, I didn't actually see the Rise of Skywalker because I'm the worst Star Wars fan. I'm not.
It's back in theaters, isn't it, right?
Yeah, I can watch it on Disney Plus. I'm just lazy. It wasn't good, and I don't want to be disappointed.
Leave it to a Star Wars movie to be one of the only movie franchises that was in theaters, and then a year later they're like, yeah, this is still good, let's put it back in theaters. We need to have a Star Wars movie in movie theaters in December.
Yeah. They do that. Well, it's because the production of all their films got postponed.
Yeah.
There was a reason, Brian. They're in production.
I just found it hilarious that they decided to just re-show a movie.
Yeah, well, that's welcome to Disney. They're also owned by, that's the double thing. They're Star Wars, and they are re-release movies occasionally, and they're now owned by Disney, who re-releases shit on a fucking whenever they want basis.
The saddest thing is that movie will probably get better box office than any other movie. I know movie theaters are kind of hard to go to right now, but I know they are still open in limited capacity. But Star Wars is probably...
It's still Star Wars.
It's going to steal the box office away.
From other films, yeah. Because it's still Star Wars.
And it's
Even though it's the
just,
worst Star Wars film.
It's a rerun movie in the theaters. When has that ever been a thing, really?
A rerun of the worst Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And it'll still do great.
The only time
you heard it here. This is my opinion, so you can have your own opinion. I think Rise of Skywalker is the worst Star Wars movie. Not because of the movie's content itself, it's because I feel like the writers were lazy. Based on what I've heard about the film, what happens in the film, it sounds like a lot of lazy writing. Mm-hmm. It's one of those, there's like, we had a whole bunch of ideas and had no clue how to write them in a film and went, fuck it, and
it's together now.
And everyone, that's why a whole bunch of very dedicated Star Wars fans went, what did I just watch? Mm-hmm. I love Star Wars, and what the fuck did I just watch?
I love Star Wars, but I don't love any of that.
Yeah. Like, there are parts that are supposed to be good and fun, but like to the point when you know it's bad is when you got meta jokes in Star Wars, which at this point has become more of a serious franchise instead of kind of a comedy franchise like it was when it started. Mm-hmm. And you have a literal main character acknowledging that someone asks, wait, Palpatine's back? And he goes, yeah, he's back, I don't know how. And now he's just left alone on the table in the movie.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't explain it. Like, I think they gotta explain more later on. Like, but only like 2 people know, and that's Rey and Ben, spoilers, dies, which also makes everyone real sad because Swole Ben is fucking awesome. So like, he didn't need to die. That's my opinion. I hope he didn't die. Like, I'm like, they're gonna probably. I knew they were gonna kill him because that's how I knew they were gonna write to not know how to solve the problem instead of an actual redemption arc, and they just failed the redemption arc. That's all they did. They had it was able to be done. Han and Leia's son. He's Kylo Ren. His name is Ben Solo.
Kylo Ren's name is Ben?
Yeah, his name is Ben. He's
I know why he changed his name to Kylo Ren.
You got some dude named Ben, you're not listening.
Big old evil Ben.
He was named after Obi-Wan Kenobi's fake name, which is dumb on a whole separate level, because Leia never knew Obi-Wan Kenobi. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a lie. Leia did know Obi-Wan Kenobi, but only knew him for like this long, and she was 0 years old. So like, does that count? You're a 0.
Doesn't.
That was a lot for me.
My biggest question about this newest Star Wars trilogy, from somebody who doesn't know the entire Star Wars storyline and has just knows what happens strictly through memes and trailers online.
Yeah.
It's like, wasn't Kylo and Rey enemies in the first one?
Yeah, but he's
and
not
then I just saw them fighting together in the second one. I'm like, I guess they're not enemies anymore.
That's what didn't help. But that's because they're trying to show that there was like goodness in him. I'm like, oh cool, so they're setting up for a redemption arc, and like they kind of did the redemption arc in like this last episode, but like then they killed him. So it's like, oh, so he was redeemed, but it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Great. I'm so glad I put emotional energy into that character that's now dead.
Or is he dead?
No, he's dead.
I just imagine somebody doing that YouTube animation of, ooh.
Star Wars isn't really like that. When people are dead, if they die on screen, they're dead. Mm-hmm. Usually. Except for Palpatine. He's the only one who died on screen who isn't dead. But that's it.
For some reason.
Well, it's because technically Maul didn't die. We didn't watch him dead. We watched him falling very alive.
I don't know how.
Yeah, it's literally what he's
That's actually alive.
That's what Poe Dameron said. No one is back. I'm very sure that's an actual line. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm sorry, but like,
I feel like that's somebody in the writer's room who is just like, yeah, I see what all you guys are fucking up, and you veto me. So this is my one thing.
This is my contribution to this fucking movie. Well, it's because
I'm gonna call you out on all your bullshit in canon.
It's because I don't think, even though J.J. Abrams is a great, I think he's a pretty good director and writer. I don't think he should have been the head writer of that film. Mm-hmm. I think he should have worked with Rian Johnson a lot more. Actually, even though for some reason it's still like really like not cool in the Star Wars fandom to love The Last Jedi, I love The Last Jedi. I think it's one of the best Star Wars movies ever. Mm-hmm. It probably is my number 4 Star Wars
Which one
movie.
was that?
That one was Episode 8.
Okay.
The Last Jedi.
That's the one when the trailers were just showing Rey and Kylo.
Yeah, because it looks a cool fucking scene.
Red creatures.
They weren't creatures, they're guards.
Guards. Knights. I couldn't tell. I thought they were robots.
Well, they move like robots because it's their job.
Okay.
Because they're supposed to be like the most trained guards in the entirety of the galaxy.
Yeah, I basically just thought they were like some like animatronic like soldiers or something futuristic bullshit.
Whatever. Star Wars, sci-fi.
You see their masks all over the place every time you go into Walmart and Target. Like,
yeah, they're roller guards. Either way, that movie's actually really good because it's had the redemption arc for potential redemption arc for Kylo Ren.
How'd that go out?
Obviously, it didn't work out in Rise. Well, like it worked out, but didn't work out in Rise of Skywalker. I haven't watched that film. He could have been redeemed in Episode 8, but that showed that he had good left in him. But then he chose darkness instead.
Here. If you watch more Code Geass with me in the future, I will watch through all of the rest of the Star Wars movies with you that I haven't
really easy
seen.
Deal, sure. I was gonna watch Code Geass anyway, back and forth.
It will lead all the way up to the most recent one, so you can watch the Rise of Skywalker.
Here's a question: are we gonna watch them on proper?
We should do a react.
We have options. We watch them.
Wait, no, we can't react. Fine, brothers, don't sue us.
We have multiple options. Do we do the proper order, i.e., release order?
Mm-hmm.
Do we do actual order of happening in universe?
Mm-hmm.
Which would, as a pain in the ass, because you have to go 1, 2, the Clone Wars, which is an anthology series in its own. So that means you have to skip around in that fucking TV show. There's a list, luckily. Thank God there's a fucking list of what order.
Wait, the seasons don't go in order?
The seasons go in order, but the episodes are done in 3-episode arcs that aren't necessarily one after another. Most of the season is, but sometimes, like near the end or the beginning of a season.
So what? Like, there's 3 arcs in a season, and
there's 3 episodes per arc, and there's usually 7 arcs per season.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 30 episodes.
The episodes go in a row, or they skip the arc episodes around?
They'll do an arc, and then they'll go to their next location, wherever it is, and that's not necessarily going to be the next battle they see or the next event that happens.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a couple months later. It could be a couple months before. Season 1's pretty in order, but the last 2 or 3 episodes are actually happened before the rest of it, because it goes back to show you the clones you now are being introduced to.
So it just does flashback arcs and
It's like flashback. But they don't say they are. They just.
So you have to try to piece it together.
When you're watching the show straight through, yes.
You're like, you get into a new episode. Wait, where are we?
Yeah.
Did this happen yet?
Yeah, because things didn't happen yet, so you get thrown off a little bit because people didn't.
Why are you talking?
You're dead. Yeah, things like that happen.
You guys had a falling out. Well, you're still dating.
Yeah, you cut it in half. Things like that happen sometimes, which is frustrating. But there is a Star Wars Online has released StarWars.com has released a list of the proper order for all the episodes.
Okay, so so the biggest question is whether
to watch that in order.
The order the episodes are released, or the actual order straight through in like.
Yeah, which is the problem with Star Wars. Star Wars is an anthology.
Mm-hmm.
It's built that way. We got 3 episodes as an arc, and then we had no movies, and then we got 3 more movies as an arc. That happened before the first 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been an anthology series the whole time.
It's always 3.
Yeah, not always arcs. Sometimes 4 episode arcs in Clone Wars, but they're between 4 and 3 episodes depending on the arc. And then you have so you could do 1, 2 Clone Wars. If you're doing it wrong order, some people call it. I don't mind it that order because I've watched Star Wars so many times it does not matter to me anymore. I just like watching Star Wars. So you do 1, 2, 3. Sorry, you do 1, 2 Clone Wars in chronological order, all the episodes. That's a 7-season show.
Wait, Attack of the Clones happened before Clone Wars?
Attack of the Clones, yeah, that's the start of the Clone Wars.
Didn't Anakin lose his arm?
Yes, he does, and he doesn't have an arm in Clone Wars.
His arm or hand?
About this far up. I believe.
Oh, I thought I saw it.
It might be farther up. It's either this far up or this far up. I'm not sure.
Frames of the animation from Clone Wars. I thought he had both his arms.
There are dreams he's had if he has both his hands, but he doesn't have both his arms. He gets a prosthetic at the end of the movie. He just wears a big glove over it. He just happens to wear gloves on both his hands, so it's irrelevant.
Oh.
Just he has a big ass
fucking stupid.
He has a big ass glove because it goes however far his prosthetic is. I forgot if it's here or if it's up to his bicep.
That answers a subtle question I've asked my entire life. Because like I said, the first Star Wars movie I saw was Attack of the Clone.
Prosthetics are cheap in Star Wars.
So the first thing I ever, the only thing I remember about that movie is Samuel L. Jackson was in it and had a very unique lightsaber, and then got his hand cut off. And then I was watching all of the stuff. I haven't watched episodes of Attack of the Clones, but when I've seen like on Cartoon Network where it shows like the little clip going by or like trailer for
and Anakin clearly is still using his lightsaber
in his hands, and I'm just like,
questions.
How?
Prosthetics are super cheap
but
in the future.
Still, typically, okay, I grew up on anime. When somebody loses an arm and then they get a replacement, it looks completely different from the other arm, so you know it was.
He just wears a really big ass gauntlet.
Yeah, and he wears the same fucking thing on his other arm, so
yes,
like he has both his hands.
Voice it on purpose so people don't know. That's what's really funny is how strong Anakin is. Mm-hmm. Is Anakin technically is weaker in the Force with his hand that isn't organic. Mm-hmm. So if you'll notice in Clone Wars and other things, he will do things with his inorganic hand first, weaker, on purpose to see if he can just do it with less effort, and just train himself to be stronger. Mm-hmm. And then when he's like, okay, fuck it, full power, he switches hands and just yeets bitches. You'll see that occasionally, because there's been times where he's chokes, and you notice he's using his robotic hand, because he uses it, it's an extension of him. Because Darth Vader has no organic arms or legs. It's all prosthetics, because spoilers for a movie that came out in, I don't know what year Revenge of the Sith came out, okay? 2005? That sound right?
Is that episode
2004? 3? Yeah, 2005 or 2004?
Oh.
That sounds right to me. I remember drawing a design about that movie for like something that happened in 5th grade. So I'm going to say 2005. As a good round. I might be wrong. I don't fucking remember. Well, forever ago.
I'm pretty sure we graduated from 5th grade in 2005.
No, 2006 is when 5th grade ended. 2005 is when it began. Our grades always began in the year it was.
Yep.
So 5th grade began 2005. 6th grade began 2006.
It was very easy to remember.
It was so easy for us to remember.
Yet I still just fucked it up.
Yeah, I've never have. That's why I'm engaged with someone who's a year older than me, so that fucks me up because hers is the opposite. And then we have friends like Vicky who's the year below us, who's all fucked.
You guys don't have this to go off.
Yeah, so it throws me off what grades all their shit is. What was I trying to say? Yes, Anakin.
And the train of thought.
That's gone. Okay, we're talking about Anakin and something. So
D&D.
So 1, 2, Clone Wars, 3, Rogue One, Episode 4. Sorry, no. Sorry. I have to redo that. 1, 2, Clone Wars, Episode 3, Rebels. I think that's it I need for actual television stuff. There's technically comics you have to read between all that stuff, but it's not important. The Ahsoka novels in there, you should at least. It's a great book by E.K. Johnston, narrated by the voice actress for Ahsoka Tano, Ashley Eckstein. So it's a great book to listen to an audiobook. Audible, sponsor us, please. I beg of you.
Oh my God!
Yes. You can just apply for it.
Oh my God! And then can you
give us money?
And also post.
Maybe.
And also.
Well, they won't host us. Spotify might. We can get us on iTunes.
And also allow me to publish writing on there.
Ooh, that they might let you do.
Goals.
So, Rebels, Rogue One, Episode 4, 5, 6. Episode 7, Resistance, Season 1. Episode 8, Resistance, Season 2. Episode 9 is our current watch order.
It's a fucking lot.
Yeah, it's several days of content. It's not as bad as Stargate. Stargate is 11 days of content. 11 days. No peeing, no drinking, no eating. 11 days of not pausing of content is Stargate.
And then we also need to introduce you to fucking Lord of the Rings.
I do have to watch Lord of the Rings.
Oh my God, he's never watched Lord of the Rings.
Which is really funny because of how many Lord of the Rings references I actually make in-game as Rain. I make Lord of the Rings references as Rain about Elven and Dwarven being similar languages. That's a Tolkien reference.
But he doesn't know the movies.
No, I do not. I'm sorry. I need to watch The Hobbit. I need to watch Lord of the Rings. I need to watch all of it. The answer is...
letting you know.
No, we can't do it until we get a 4K television in this house.
I have one at my house. I can bring it over.
Well, I want a new 50-inch 4K TV. I'm going to buy one soon. Probably next year I want to buy a new 4K TV.
So part of our Nat Disaster budget that we don't have, it's
we're going to buy a 4K TV just to watch Lord of the Rings. That's the only reason.
But it's company.
$1,000 just to watch Lord of the Rings.
So YouTube and Twitch make us money. Like us reacting to things, please.
And dude, I'll talk about my reactions to Lord of the Rings. I'm excited to see it because all the other fantasy nerds I follow on everything have watched them. And then there's me. It's like, I missed that train because my dad wasn't into it.
And also, with his love for Rain, seeing his reaction to Lelouch from Code Geass.
Oh, yeah, that's exciting. I know.
Oh, I want to see him compare his character to this boy.
But they are very different people.
I know.
And they're very similar people in ways we're not going to discuss. Like I said, that's what makes them fun, is how those many similarities both characters have and how different they are. Mm-hmm. And that's only from me seeing 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
He was a noble boy, and then he was banished, and he's just like, I have something. I want that power back. Just like Rain knows she has some power in her past, but she wants it.
Even if she didn't have some power in her past, like irrelevant, like it's irrelevant. There's a drive in her to be more powerful, not like magic power. She doesn't give a fuck about it.
Mm-hmm.
She understands magic power is powerful. She respects the crap out of it, but she's like, I don't give a shit about magic.
Arcane users are great. They can do wondrous things.
But
however,
I don't need to be arcane. Because if you can influence a crowd, very Hitler-esque, which is not good, but the difference is Hitler wanted to exterminate the Jews. Rain wants to unite the people of Xysta under a common goal.
Well, now there's...
With no enemies of the state, except for maybe, a head of state. If she's in the way. This goes under. Rain's not going to do this anytime soon. You're never going to see it in our campaign. You'll see it with after the main campaign's done, and we're like, fuck it. We're like,
let's make a comic series.
Let's make a comic series or a book, or we're going to do a podcast where we read stuff we wrote. That's the future, and do some roles just to make sure we need some unpredictability because we can't just make it perfect because that's rude. That's not how real life works. There's unpredictability in things, so we're gonna roll dice. Mm-hmm. That's how you solve problems. We're talking about that. We're talking when we're prepping for a second campaign, where the second campaign's set 30 years in the future. So we need to now figure out what happened for 30 years, and our characters are still alive. So means at least Rain is definitely influencing the world, and she's not dead.
Why do you think in campaign 2 of Critical Role, they found somebody who is an integral person related to the not related, but part of the Critical Role 1 cast, they're friends with them, and then it just sparked their desire in that show. Who's on the Tal'Dorei Council? Because Tal'Dorei is the continent on. They're like, I just want you to say one of their names. Every single person they get to, they're like, do you know who's on the Tal'Dorei Council? And it's like, why does this group care about the Tal'Dorei Council?
Oh, that's loud.
They're just like, why does this group care about who's on the Tal'Dorei Council? They have nothing to do with the entire continent of Tal'Dorei. But they just keep asking everybody because they're like, Matt, just fucking tell us which one.
Which makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because they know that they might be. So they're like, is my character? Is my character?
Where is my character right now? I want to know.
If Rain survives, if she ever gets it, so there's 3 ifs that you can start off with.
Could I say one thing before that?
Go.
Spoilers for the current Critical Role area. A few episodes ago, when they left Rumblecust, they're on this island where there's this enemy called Vokodo, and there was somebody who they restored all the memories to, and it was Keyleth's mother. Keyleth is one of the Campaign 1 characters that grew in, and she fell through a portal to the water plane, and all they found left of her was her leg, and they found this woman. And then it ended, their last interaction with her was telling her to go back to her daughter, and she created a portal to there, and we actually saw Keyleth on in-game, in canon.
Wow.
So they are the first. Keyleth was the first Campaign 1 character to, in canon, still be seen in Campaign 2.
Nice.
It's just for like half a second through a portal.
Okay, I'm sorry, it looked like I wasn't paying attention.
You weren't.
I was. I listened to every word you said. But you also...
Nice.
You also told me that.
Yeah.
You also told me that, so I didn't have to listen as much. So there's several ifs here, so we're going to have to go with ifs. If Rain survives the heist campaign, I think Rain will at a bare minimum. If she doesn't immediately get arrested afterwards, because Misfortune will find out. Which is why Rain kind of wants to run into Misfortune again before the night of the heist. Because Rain might be a little more honest. And make a deal.
How so?
Rain has to deliver that necklace to the Devilkin. The Devilkin's under suspicion of potentially causing harm to the Queen. I'm doing this job, A, for money, and B, for his trust. Correct? Mm-hmm. This is my job to prove I can do what I can do. Yeah. And because he sent me on an impossible mission.
Yeah.
In his
like
mind.
Beator's shadow will trust you.
Yeah. Which is an ideal situation for me to begin relaying information to Misfortune to keep the Queen safe.
That is true.
I immediately have to completely open up about the illegal things I've done. But I'm like, okay, you're going to be unhappy with the beginning of the sentence.
You're going to hate everything I'm about to say.
Until the end.
But sit and listen to it all.
I promise it's long-term worth it. So we're going to start off. Your job is to protect the Queen. Yes. Okay. So I want to help you protect the Queen. Okay. You're not going to like that's where the end of you liking what I'm talking about begins.
Everything else is just going to be...
and then I'm like, but I'm the only one in. Do you have a person in? Do you guys have people on the inside? No. Well, I know it's not an ideal situation, and I understand that you don't trust me. Reasonable. Because both of us don't trust anyone. And she's going to be like, I don't like being called out about my trust issues.
Future Bryan and Conlan, I am laughing right now.
This should be so fun. I cannot. That's why I want Rain to run into it. I want fucking Misfortune not to just be like, I'm going to trap you in your lost world and good luck. Because Rain's like, do you want help or not? Like, you guys, this doesn't help either of us.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to protect Xysta? Do you want to protect the Queen?
I love hearing your opinions with knowing things that you don't know.
That is true. You do. For all I know, that Misfortune has no gives a fuck about Rain. I'm hoping that I've made her at least curious. Because I understand a jaded, higher level protector of the Queen, who just doesn't give a fuck at this point. Mm-hmm. They've been doing it for a fucking 100 years. They don't give a shit. Why would they?
Who are you talking about there?
Like the other,
the other
members of the, I forgot.
Ty'Quorus 7?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, many of them have been around for what? Hundreds of years, some of them?
Mm-hmm.
So, they don't...
Just jesters.
Yeah.
Just imagine weird fucking court jesters.
But they're not court jesters because their job is
assassin demons.
That's why they're the Queen. That's why I was saying that, I'm like,
they look fucking creepy as fuck. Just
in my brain, I was like, I wonder how many drugs he was on when he wrote these.
Oh, that was a sober idea. There was no alcohol or anything involved in that one.
It's hilarious. That's why I love your brain. It's so weird.
It's a weird place.
But
I had a
best age. She is young. She is the youngest member of them, and she's still being trained. She isn't fully trained.
Yeah. You guys said. I know she's definitely a higher level than me. Here's her character sheet. She's level 3.
Oh, I could hit the shit out of this woman.
But she has the god level abilities.
Yeah, but one good shot of a fucking crossbow bolt, and I can. I know her health.
Why do you think the Queen partnered her up with the oldest member of 37?
I didn't know.
She had to sneak away from him to actually do that.
It's even more exciting. Okay, well, actually, Rain knew that
the Queen announced that the number 1 would be watching and over.
You're right, so I do know that.
Mm-hmm.
So that means Rain knows that she's probably sneaking out. So she's like, do you want to elevate your status? And I bet she'd be like, do I trust this sketchy lady? Which is reasonable, not unreasonable at all.
And then everything about the prophecy of the Seven, which she mentioned when misfortune was coming. Misfortune is supposed to be the one to bring about fortune to the city.
She's the one who's going to, her existence triggers modern times alignment. But it seems that Misfortune was really taught to fight, not necessarily taught to with all the... I'm not saying she's dumb. I don't think Misfortune's dumb at all. But I don't think Misfortune has all the... I think Rain has more knowledge than her.
The prophecy of the Fortunous Seventh. That is what it was called.
So she's... In reality, the Queen's naming her the seventh one because she already knows time's alignment's about to happen. So if she doesn't name a seventh person, it'll look like she has no fucking clue what she's talking about. That she'll just lose power. That's my opinion. That's an opinion. Mm-hmm. I don't think that might not be what happened. That's a personal opinion. That's not even Rain's opinion.
What, you think that's what the Queen did?
That's my personal opinion. That's not even Rain's opinion. Rain's opinion's not that. That's my personal opinion. That's what I would do. If you knew if you had a prophecy listed and you saw shit was going wrong and you got intel, hey, Ladris was attacked real bad the other day, you'd be like, I guess it's time to name the other one. They're not ready. Shit, not ready for their job. But if I don't do this, I'll look like I have no clue what I'm talking about. It's a political risk, but it's worth the risk.
Yeah.
Because now other people would know that. And if she's right, she looks more powerful.
Hey, I guessed it.
No, I don't think the Queen's stupid, so I think she'll use her intel that she's learned from other people besides just what happened in Ladris. I'm sure other things have come to fruition in other parts of the continent and even the world that her intels began coming in that have said, hey, stuff's happening. And she's like, okay, let's wait. Then the thing happens with Ladris attacking directly the preservation ceremony, which was supposed to keep all the harmony together, and she's like, oh, that's not good.
Not again.
Because then, yeah, literally PTSD flashbacks of, we've been here. I don't want to do this again.
It was not fun the first time around.
And Rain's aware the Queen's that old, correct? That's common knowledge?
Yep.
You don't need to look it up, Brian. She's existed since before time's aligned.
This is what this D&D podcast.
It's more to talk about this stuff. You're so happy I'm talking about this, aren't you?
Things that are canon that have not been talked about.
Oh, my knees are screaming. What are you doing the laugh? I hate when you do the laugh. We've lost so many frames. This is like the least stable our stream has been, but hopefully our audio is good the whole time. We'll find out when we put it on YouTube. But yeah, the Queen's been around that long. I don't know how old she is.
So, the legend about Queen Kittimus. So, legend says that long ago, soon before time began and before Xysta was floating, Queen Kitty was just an average soldier in King Xysta Tellurian's army, creating the floating city of rafts. However, Crulin, the then young sea Leviathan, was terrifying citizens and attacking. Kittimus traveled to the Purity and found a magic capable of floating the city to keep safe from Crulin. Upon returning, she was blessed to stay alive to maintain the magic perpetually suspending the city. Because of the great deed she provided, King Xysta Tellurian, an elderly king at the time, offered her his son, Xyphos Tellurian, to marry and to take on the Xysta name. She became the permanent monarch to Xysta City, the one to carry the name of the chosen Triton King. That is the legend of...
So she marries like the next king in line, just keeps doing that?
Yeah, well, she got to the point where, after that, she had the throne, so she would just get a new husband when he died.
Because they would die.
After a while. I need a king.
Because that's what's unique about Xysta, which is why I like a character I talked about earlier, why he's so anti-woman, is Xysta's a society that's weird, that's medieval, that women are pretty valued in society.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously they have a queen instead of who's the head monarch instead of a king.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll notice that because the liberator is a woman as well, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So also Bryan likes elevating women of status. It's just thing we're both into that. To be honest, that's who we are as people.
Strong female characters.
Because there's not enough, so we're writing all of them. You're getting 3 of them.
Okay, we grew up on shows where there were so many male, primary characters with strong female side characters, and we're just like,
why don't we have
show about them?
Yeah, because we got people like Katara, Toph, Suki, and then as we got older,
You see, there's a theme here.
we go to Star Wars. You have Leia, one of the first big, strong female leads, because she was a lead. Because, funny story, do you know that the original series, like the original set of movies, is actually about Leia? It's not about Luke. George Lucas said this. He's like, the original series is about Leia, not Luke.
Mm-hmm. And Luke became the focus.
Luke became the focus because he's the Jedi, so he's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But Leia was always the main character. She's the princess. She has the plan. She's running the rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
She's the main character. Just because of the times, no one realized that she was like Luke was the guy who had to save the princess to keep her safe.
Mm-hmm.
And then the princess was saved and went, "Cool, you dumbasses! You know what the fuck you're doing." And then we got introduced to a princess who saved herself. Because her saviors are morons.
I mean, they were.
And that's where that's why I rate Rain. Rain has influences from Leia, from Jyn Erso, from Star Wars, from Suki. She has influences from lots of very strong female characters.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wrote Rain as a strong female character. And she's been through a lot of stuff that we're never going to scratch the surface of on stream, because we as a group don't think it's appropriate to scratch the surface of it unless it comes up, which would suck. But I feel like we'd actively write around that if we could.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure some of it will come up, but who knows if we'll ever see this. All of the people who write for Nat Disaster are aware of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because we talk about it, because that's what we do. Because we're all writers for Nat Disaster, technically. You're just the head writer.
Yeah.
And you're the creative lead.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, Rain's a strong female character, which is why she's interesting that I want to play her and a strong male lead.
Trell is a female.
Yeah.
Mori
yeah.
is a female.
Your second 2 lead main characters are Kyron and Noth, who are both strong female characters in different ways that both have huge flaws.
Normal's a female.
She's not a lead character, Brian, but she's a strong female character you wrote, though.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. I'm not discounting that.
You don't know how integral she is.
If she's super integral to the plot, I'd be like, that's just because it's plot armor and plot development, because I'm the writer! Fuck you!
You talk about not scratching the surface. You guys have barely scratched the surface of any of my lore.
I know.
All of my secrets.
I know there's tons of them in your brain, and it's exciting as we learn more. So, no, we're going to talk about it, because spoilers for something that's in Rain's house that no one at 11:55 at night is going to ever see, because I don't think we even have any. How many viewers do we have?
It says 2.
2. I think one of them is me.
The other one might be me.
So, you're all
Hi,
right.
Brian. Hi, Gamba.
Yeah. Thank you, future us. So, there's a book that we haven't discussed yet, but we're going to discuss it right now, because fuck it. There's a book that Rain has in one of her chests. There's 2 other items in there. I'll describe them. First item is a doll. It's a doll of Rain that was custom made for her, because reasons. Of extremely fine quality, that is very worn, because she was the doll. That was one of the few things that she brought with her on the night her parents died. She had with her. She had that, and her family friend brought her a blanket from home.
So it's those 2 things.
It's her blanket. So she has 3 items from her former life. Her mother's necklace, her doll, which she keeps in the chest so it stays safe, and it stays wrapped up in a silk, well-knit, fancy-ass blanket it's worn thin. It's useless as a blanket, but it's all she had. She slept on the streets in that blanket. It's probably stained. It's probably horrendous looking.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the only two things she has from her life. She doesn't have any clothes from then. She doesn't have anything else because she kept growing, so she didn't wear those clothes anymore. She has that blanket and her doll. And her mom's necklace. And the third thing in that there is a book that we have to discuss the contents of what might actually be in it. Because that's debatable because it's an oral history book from Nyra's Grove. I know, so Nyra does not say that in the Word document. It just says the Grove because I forgot to spell Nyra, and I was like, I'm not texting him for this. I was writing it.
It's 4 letters.
I don't remember how they look. I'll write it in later.
Try to spell Nyra.
N-R-Y-A.
No.
N-Y-R-A.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's really 2 options.
Noria or Nyra.
I don't know which order it's going to be in, so I guess.
Dyslexia.
Yeah, I would write it in either order constantly if I had to write that all the time. Because Rain's mother's family heritage is from the Grove. Her elven heritage is wood elf, not high elf. So her family's from the Grove originally. Mm-hmm. A couple generations removed. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But her family's...
They've been city goers for quite some time.
Probably 2 or 3 generations at least.
At least.
Yeah.
If not more.
Yeah. Not important writing that we haven't done.
She's a wood elf, but she's a city girl.
Yeah. But that being a wood elf and her ears clearly being, wood elf styling, because I'm assuming based on how D&D and Wizards of the Coast describe the different races, without looking very hard, a high elf can look at a wood elf and know you're a wood elf. Mm-hmm. So I assume it has to do with ear shape slightly, and probably eye shape. And Rain has her mom's eyes and ears, although her ears are probably smaller than her mom's. Her mom's are probably more prominent. Mm-hmm. She was a half elf, not a quarter elf.
Yeah.
So any high elf would be like, oh, you're one of those. Oh, you're not even and would look at her and know she's not a full breed either.
The funny and cool thing is too, D&D doesn't really do quarter breeds, and I feel like
the recent book update allows a little bit more towards that.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get to that part of Tasha's yet.
But I thought they had some stuff in that.
There's a lot more.
You said something about that.
There's you can.
There's a lot more customizability with stuff, right?
You can swap abilities that you have for things that would make more sense, stuff like that. I don't know if there was anything that said anything
about
making.
But but as a DM, you could make the choice.
I have made a quarter orc, and I have also made a quarter elf.
Yep. And that's what's unique about both those characters is they don't have a lot of special things. Mm-hmm. The only thing Rain has is she has dark vision. She doesn't even know she has dark vision because either A, she hangs out with other elves and stuff, so they also have dark vision, so it doesn't affect her. She hangs out with humans that don't notice. Mm-hmm. They're she's just like, why can't you guys see? And she just lights a torch. So that way, it's not an argument anymore why they have crappy night vision. Yeah. So, it never really has affected her enough for her to bring it up that she has a little bit of dark vision. It's just something normal to her. Mm-hmm. Which makes sense for a person who has zero formal education.
I can see within 10, 15?
It's 15 feet.
15 feet.
Which is reasonable. It's just enough that if you're trying to steal from someone and they couldn't see very well, you can steal from them.
That would be interesting. What fighting style did Rain get for her fighter?
I have no clue because she has 2 fighting styles.
Wait, she doesn't have 2.
I thought
Rogue doesn't get a fighting style.
Okay, then she only has the 1. She'll get because she'll get one when if she gets barbarian, right?
No.
Or no, she's not gonna get enough levels in barbarian, right?
No, barbarian never gets a fighting style because they're a strength and martial based class, but they have no proper training. Fighting styles come from when you get proper training.
So where would I find that information, my boy?
Got a fighting style right there. 2-weapon fighting.
Yep.
When you gauge a 2-weapon fighting, you could add your ability. Okay, so when you use 2 weapons, like a dagger and a dagger, or a short sword and a short sword, you can add your dex mod to the attacks of both when you attack and then attack.
Even though she doesn't have 2 attacks yet.
Yeah, it would be interesting if she ended up ever getting that one of those new fighting styles. There's blind. It was like blind fighter or something like that.
Yeah, she would. It
gives you blind sight for a 10-foot radius, and then you could even see invisible creatures unless they are actively hid from you somehow.
Yeah, I would. It all depends on her character development. That's it. Because is she going to take fighter long enough? Well, it obviously depends on. For all we know, Rain will take no more rogue. If for some reason she gets into Xysta High Society early, she'll take less rogue levels and take more fighter levels because that will be more. Maybe, I don't know. It's a good question because being a politician, because spoilers ish. No one's watching this point. It's just me and you. We probably could turn this off soon.
Hey, it's fun though.
Yeah, you're right. Because it'll be on YouTube, and some person will watch back.
Somebody will watch one day.
Okay, so we're gonna say this: actual spoilers for plot-relevant things in game that you will not see for potentially multiple years, depending on literally circumstances we have zero control over.
It's all a roll of the dice, baby.
So, I really couldn't even tell you. It could be 2 sessions from now. It could be accidentally I get a good roll and remember who I am. That could accidentally happen. I could be like, roll, right out of the Nat 20, you're like, we're gonna talk. Yeah. It all snaps back to you. You're like, we're gonna take an intermission because I need to write a whole bunch of stuff.
See, and I wanted to say one thing, comment on that. I'm actively, as a DM kind of storyteller, trying to keep it in a way where,
you want slow
those
burn.
things are slow burners.
No,
I'm trying to keep the heist more focus on this while sprinkling things in every once in a while, just because I see how much you guys love these characters.
Yep.
I see how much you guys love playing as them. So
originally they were not supposed to be important, and now they're all important.
Yeah, I said this was going to be 3 sessions. This heist.
Then you said it might be 7.
That was a lie. And the reason I said 3 was because I knew this fucker wanted to play as Rain so much, and my party kept on joking. Oh, whole party of rogues. And then Vicky's like, I'll make a monk one. I'm like, they're okay. Joke around with a few characters for a few sessions. Leave the main campaign. And then the pandemic hit. Then we had more time. And then we all
wrote more for our characters because we had a little extra time.
And I'm just like, and we're not doing.
Especially the Humblewood went a little longer than we thought it was going to be.
Oh my god!
So that allowed us to write for the new characters we'd written for a little bit longer.
And we all agreed we weren't going to do the main campaign really until
we could be in person.
The pandemic was better, and the majority of us can be in person again.
Because that's the most fun thing part about the main campaign.
So I was just like, I guess I'll make this longer. And I started.
And then we made it longer. And then we went from that's a little long to 10 episodes a day.
Oh my god, they went.
It's 10 episodes per day. This will be 15 episodes.
They went into the Eye of All. At the
episode?
end of session 10, they got out session 14. It's just like when you guys went into Warrior's Rest. At session 10.
So long.
You went in at session 10, and you guys left on 18. It was like an 8-session arc of a dungeon crawl.
But I think
some people did that back in the days for D&D, early editions, first, second.
That was the only choice.
The game is purely dungeon crawls, traps everywhere. There's no role play.
But the key is because the problem was because we kept taking too hard of hits because of mistakes we made as early because we were which made sense in character. Our characters were new to actual fighting. Nox's character had hunted people before, but we were in a giant pack and it was easy to yeet those boys in 15 minutes. There was 30 of us.
Iron was never a fighter. She could take care of herself, but she didn't.
She only trained. She never fought anything. She never dealt with strategy.
The last war that her grove took an active part in was the one when she was a young girl.
Yeah, so she learned to fight, but that was in case.
Yeah.
And then Generash probably has been in fights before, but never fought monsters. Because he was a privileged boy.
This is again spoilers.
So this is spoilers for the whole campaign.
Yeah, spoilers. Generash never fought in a war. They asked the Thalathis to go, and he did not. He was just no, it's not gonna. One person's not gonna change anything.
So now his wife went. Mm-hmm. Which we know that's not really spoilers.
Yeah.
So he's probably been in fist fights with friends and arguments and stuff, but
and with a tree when he gets really mad.
Like maybe he's fought like a couple goblins or something like that. Like some things like the sign was disturbing the tribe, and he was like, okay.
Those kobolds.
Yeah, he's like
Session 0. You guys yeeted some kobolds.
And he just sitting there with his big axe. He's like, "You sure this was a good choice?" And they're all kind of like, "No." Like that's what we're talking about. Like that's the way those aren't real threats, not like actual demonic things. Actual.
Naresh and Bracket are the only ones.
They've had real combat in my life.
Because Naresh grew up in Silent Hollow, and was always in somewhat of a rich family, but he learned how to fight, and then him and his best friend in his squad were murdered by vampires, and then he was brought back, forced into like 75 or 80 years of being a vampire spawn. Couldn't think of the word. Wow, you helped me with a word.
I got you, boy. We're best friends. This is what we do.
And then 20 years of being there and just kind of stuck in that life. So like he's seen shit. He was forced to fight in wars and stuff like that.
And we can't know about Bracket because we're not going to spoil that shit. Bracket's been through some stuff.
As far as in the in-canon universe you can tell, Bracket was at the end of the world at one point?
Or at least what at bare minimum, he believes to be the beginning of the end of time, because he
Which is why I say it like this, because he's kind of sure, but not sure.
He knows something very, very bad happened, because he saw a lot of people he cared about dead. He saw, like,
the most important. It's funny because the beginning of the campaign, some of his first memories since he woke up is, wow, that statue is really important. When you walked by and saw it for the first time in session 1, you felt a connection to it.
With which
Zytalia's promise.
Yeah.
And then you saw the whole preservation celebration happen, and you saw part of that statue start to crack. And then like a day or two later, you had a dream, and it was open. There's a giant portal flowing over.
And my brain already knew.
And the jar that you were told to protect was on the ground, opened, and next to a tiefling.
And they looked dead.
Okay, so the most important, the monument that's starting to crack open, that guards the gateway to the Blackened Tear, where the god of death and endings was sealed away, it started cracking open, and I just had a dream of being there, feeling younger, and the statue broken.
Yeah, and I saw this tiefling, who he hadn't clicked who it was. I now know who it is. It's obviously Ho.
Which her name is Hope. Yeah, tiefling.
Yeah. Continuing with the rain spoilers, that was the point.
Mm-hmm.
Where were we? Were we actually talking about rain?
I don't know. We were off on a real.
We went on a way big tangent about Bracket.
So speaking of trains, so the railways exist.
That was the beginning of this. That's not happening for 20.
We've taken the biggest tangent away from that idea, though.
I think
this whole thing is.
I can see not happening during this current time's alignment. We're gonna call it a 4-year period, just for simplicity's sake, because that's my player math between now and when Urem gets killed from the original group from our group failing.
Say all of that again, because I was cracking my back, and that was where all my focus was at.
So I see railways happening, not in our 4-year. I'm gonna call it a 4-year period between what we're gonna call now, the beginning of not goodness, and I guess Bracket's age is in the dream. I don't know.
I love the fact that he has to piece it together. He's like, okay, Urem is this age, roughly. And I
look like I might have been 18.
And I looked that age, I think.
Well, it's because I did rolls on that, and you said you look a little younger than 20.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I'm probably 18. And you described Urem as being around 14. I went, okay, so in 4 years is my rough math. It could be 6. It could be less than that.
And then after he went through his clockwork force, he looked like just early 20s-ish, around there. If not still those late teens, so he looked a little bit older than the dream.
Yeah. Either way, that's not important at this second, because I haven't figured that out yet. I'm working on it still. That stuff I'm still unpacking.
Mm-hmm.
there's roughly 4 years until the beginning of the end of the world. It's a very rough estimate because Brackett's guessing age on himself and he doesn't remember how old he was. So, like, real rough guesses here. Mm-hmm. On the median side, 4 years. On the bad side, 2. And Randy's just going to be like, 2's bad. That's very bad. Because when did you start this? Oh, we started this journey 5 months ago. So you're telling me we have a year and a half left. 0 political backing. No money. And are just winging it. Yes.
We're saving the world.
And you didn't think to hire someone earlier.
Like 5 months ago?
You know, like, what the fuck? Even though realistically, I think Rain will probably show up. We think we talked about this season 3. Based on we determined the season's approximately 2 to 3 weeks in our game. Or for the heist campaign, 3 days.
No, and time will travel differently because if once you guys have to travel across the country, and stuff like that, that'll take weeks and months.
Yeah, no, I agree. As stated, I see Rain joining in the beginning of season 3. Realistically, I see that as happening. Whatever that season 2 length we decide is, it's gonna be about 30 episodes. Where it'd be 32. It's about a year of episodes. But we kind of do it on. Mm-hmm. So that could be 52 episodes if we get a good year and we can play every single weekend. Not gonna happen. Literally impossible. But realistically, a year.
One day. 1 year.
Yeah. Realistically, a normal year of sessions is probably between. We did 27 before we were a couple episodes short of where we wanted to end. End of season 1 should have been when we got to Xysta and right as we entered the Queen's throne room, that would have been cut. Because we made it to the journey that the group was supposed to do from the beginning of the fucking thing. Was getting to meet the Queen. That was the whole arc for season 1. But because of the pandemic, we was like, okay, Brackett learning who he is, that's the arc for season 1. We decided that after the fact. Because we wanted to have another 4 sessions, I'd say. In
all honesty, I kind of see arcs different than seasons. Seasons?
Oh, no, I do too.
Because
you're going to have arcs within the season.
Season 1, I see there being a few arcs.
No, there's a few arcs. I didn't argue that, Brian.
The arcs for me in season 1 is from the stuff in Ladris to the stuff all the way up to Nyra's Grove. I see the next arc being when you left Nyra's Grove all the way until you guys finished things in Warrior's Rest after you hung out with Gianthel and
then that was the next arc.
And you appeared back out. When you finished sealing the episode after that where you went up and you sealed the jar was the new arc, which then went into the arc that finished the rest of the season. From after Warrior's Rest to Nux tribe doing that, and then the defending of Ladris.
I'm pointing out that there can be multiple arcs in a season.
I know that's what I'm.
I know those are like the 3. That's like the 3. Say if we were saying we were dividing it into a 3-part arc. That's our 3-part arc. But I think like the big overall arc we wanted for season 1, if our dreams came true, was going to Xysta.
In my head, it would have just been 4 arcs season 1.
There would have been a 4th arc. That's what I'm talking about.
The 4th arc, honestly,
would have been
right now. Honestly, where session was 27.
No, I agree.
Ended.
That's what I'm saying.
Session 27 was the perfect place for arc 3 to end. It ended season 1, unfortunately, but arc 3 would end.
Why are we arguing when we 100% agree with each other?
This is what we do. We argue when we agree with each other, which we're going to continue right here because I'm enjoying this, even though it doesn't sound like we're getting more frustrated with each other. But I'm thoroughly enjoying this. Yeah, it would have been your travel from
that would have been our next arc.
Getting to
that would have been
next
small. So in writing, there's several different versions of arc. If you've never taken writing classes, I haven't, but I know enough about
because
writing.
You're friends with so many people who did major.
And because I'm a big person who hates writing himself but loves learning about it. I'm the weirdest guy on earth because I watch so many video essays about writing and show writing.
I need to stop eating these. I don't know, Sasha. Continue.
I watch so many things about that and talk about like the hero's arc and like small like episode arc versus season wide arc versus partial season arc, like 3-episode arcs and stuff like that for like you're doing a journey somewhere and it takes 3 episodes because it takes time to get places. And that's D&D's a lot like that, where we have, say, there's 27 episodes, so we had 3. We're going to call them 7 episode arcs. Sorry, 9 episode arcs, which is actually perfect.
I just realized
that's
all
perfect.
of those marks where I put down
those were 9
episodes. Literally, it went to the whole thing with Naira's ended there.
You're right, because we
started after 9.
That makes sense because we wanted to finish at the 36 episode mark. That's what we wanted season 1 to be, which was going to be...
accidental writing.
Oh, we are brilliant, Brian. We already knew that, though, so we have to stop, like...
Am I just amazing at pacing?
No, we're good at pacing.
I am so good at pacing.
I think we're amazing at pacing. I think we're incidentally good at pacing. I do not think it's some kind of skill.
And honestly, right now with what happened in the heist,
day,
what happened here in the
heist?
heist?
It's 9 episodes.
I even just explained to the group, I was just like, everything that just happened in Myers Athenium felt like a mid-dungeon boss, like a mid-season finale.
It's going to be 30 episodes.
And now, it's going to be somewhere between 28 and 30 episodes, because 14, 15... If it could be 14 to end right after everything that goes into the second half, or 15 and 15A and B, the whole thing. That could be the beginning, or even 16, which would be the thing with the Liberator.
I think 16's our end of... That's the end. We're going a little bit longer than... sorry.
It's a 2 days for 60 episodes, because we have 2 more days.
Every arc is a day. In this campaign, every arc's a day.
And it's 8 episodes the first day, and after 8,
it's ideal, but if we have 9 episodes like want, we're doing
8 episodes a day.
Which is dead nuts, which is exactly where we should be. Well,
why are we pacing?
Technically we're cheating. Technically we're cheating the system this time by doing 15A and B, because that would make it 9 for this day. Correct?
Well, no, because 15A and B are happening simultaneously, so it's like one session.
I know, but you know what I mean? If we were to do it how we normally do it, that would take an extra session.
Yes, it would have.
But we made a choice, constant.
Because we realize it's going to be just fucking 3 hours of these fuckers doing something, and 3 hours of these fuckers doing something. Yeah. Might as well film them at different times.
No, because especially me and Vicky would have just been sat doing nothing for that whole time.
And same with Callum, Andrew, and Brian.
And I don't want to waste people's time. Brian's about to have a baby. He has shit he has to do around the fucking house. Like, I want to go do that shit so he doesn't get, he doesn't have PO'd pregnant girl with him. Mm-hmm. And we know Andrew likes to be involved in the action. Yeah, he hates being not involved. It gets him bored, and I don't like him to be bored.
Yeah. And if you watch today's session, he got engaged.
He was so focused. He was so happy. I think that was the best and happiest. I hope he feels that way for Oliver. I hope he feels that way more for Delson. I hope he gets him more into roleplay. Because he's our weakest role player.
Since he began, he's wanted to have that vigilante moment with Delson, and I'm glad he was able to deliver on that today. Because it sold the character to him.
Yeah. They finally made him be like,
yes. He wanted that.
That's why I wrote the character.
He wanted to be like Arrow and Batman. And today he had his "You have failed this city" moment, and I was like, "Yes, I'm so glad I've given this to you."
It's why I like it.
It got to the point where you could have exactly what you wanted out of it.
I was smiling a large smile of the session. You guys did a great job together.
Mm-hmm.
Even without me and Vicky, I wouldn't like. Obviously, Callum's a great role player. No argument there. But me and Vicky are 2 of our strongest role players in our games. We always have been, because we both get into our characters. Because we've had mental health issues, and we just push them onto our characters and say, "You solve it, bitch!" It's wrong. It's totally wrong. But whatever. Psychologists are expensive.
One thing I just want to say about Andrew, too, is because you said he's our weakest role player, and
this is the strongest ever.
That is true. He's our weakest role player, but think.
He's a great strategist in combat.
Think about where you guys all were with role playing when we first
we were shit. Campaign. We were absolutely shit. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he's shit.
And it took 27 episodes in the main campaign, and you got really into it. And now you have this. Andrew's at his 26 episodes he's done in Nat Disaster with us now.
Yeah.
So he's just at that point where he has the same amount of time playing with us, 2 different characters.
But it's clicking for him
because he role plays a little bit more. He doesn't say as much, but he role plays more. It's a really weird thing. He's more
emotional.
into Delson but he doesn't say as much. Then Jax.
Well, it's also because Delson doesn't actually say much. Mm-hmm. That's why you notice. I know that Andrew's not copying me when I say Rain rolls her eyes. It's Delson's like, you're right, Delson would also roll his eyes because Rain and Delson are...
You help feed him ideas.
Yeah, I think that's the problem is, I think Andrew has ideas, but he's like, I'm not sure which one I want right now. And when someone else says it, he's like, that one, yes, that idea, that was in my brain. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why he immediately responds, which is good. I like helping him build ideas.
The biggest moment for that I've seen, and you're correct. You can tell he sees both of it, and he just doesn't know what to decide because the role-playing moments, things like that, drastically change how things going forward, and he's indecisive. But the biggest thing that I saw that helped him, and it's good that you guys get involved in stuff to do that too, is when he saw Rain manacled and not moving, and he's like, I don't know what to do. He literally said, I genuinely don't know what to do. Do I help Rain and abandon you guys down there, or keep up this communication between the two? He was so conflicted, and you guys helped him find a decision.
Because we discussed. So I go through Delson's mind, and we talked about that for a second. We took like a pause out of the game because reality, Delson would make the choice instantaneous and instinctually.
Rain is the only one who he sees he has seen as competent in the team, which is actually really interesting. The session we had today, because it was him working with everybody but him and Andy, so some of the people who he really hasn't had a connection to as you being strong members of the team, good roles,
and good teamwork and whatever.
It's basically like taking Rain out of the equation as the leader. He had to try to assume
he became the leader.
Yeah.
Which Rain sees him as second in command. That's why Rain told him, protect them, keep Winwhisper safe, because Rain sees him at this point as her second in command. Mm-hmm. If they had to split the party by choice instead of us being stupid, she would say, Delson, you take... And we've already done it once. When we went to go into the eye, we split the party in half. Mm-hmm. I said, Delson, you take these two, and I'll take these two, and we'll meet back into the eye. Because I knew I trusted Delson enough. Because I'm like, you seem very competent. You are clearly highly skilled. Mm-hmm. And I believe you have a good enough strategist mind because you're a vigilante that hasn't been caught yet. So you're
doing something right.
So I only can assume that you're doing something right, and you seem to understand what the general plan is here.
And you also saw him in the death battle.
Yeah, and he's quick. He's quick and he's sharp. So, and that's Andrew too. Andrew's quick and sharp.
In combat is where Andrew shines.
Oh yeah, because he'll be like, okay, we're gonna do this.
It's because he's watched all the superhero movies and TV shows. Yeah. It's everything he's grown up on. He knows those moments.
Combat he's good at, yeah. He's good at action combat.
He never got into political cartoons and TV shows.
That's such a me thing.
That's
a me and Vicky
He got more into the action and the heroism and things like that.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's why you notice I like playing Bracket. Mm-hmm. Bracket's fun because I love Bracket in combat. Now I'm getting into role-playing Bracket, which took time because I need to know more about him to role-play. That's the problem. It's hard to role-play a character when you have no information.
And it's basically because the basis of Bracket was he was just pure instincts. He had no memory, so there's nothing to go off of. It's just purely who you are. And it's just like, I don't know why I'm like this, but I just am.
He is uniquely, naturally good. Mm-hmm.
He was in his basic form of who he is at the beginning of the campaign.
I serve justice. If you're a threat to the future, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. You must be eliminated as a threat. That's why he almost threw a dagger at himself, as he saw a threat and went, you are committing a crime.
He's so committed to those ideals. They will fall. You know what I probably would have done if I was a more experienced DM, and he actually did that? Because that was DM session 1 for me too. If I was a more experienced DM and you did that, I would have been like, and... Okay,
Time pauses.
You rolled a nat 20 to hit the kid. Okay, you see the dagger strangely just at the last minute to the side, and you saw some magical presence just dive into me like, no.
It just says that too. No. Only time it's God talks to tell me being a fucking idiot.
Just, I leave you alone until you fuck something up.
It's not even been a day and a half. It's what? going back to spoilers for Rain, which is how we actually started this discussion, I think we should... Fuck it, we're going to leave this on. I don't give a shit. This is just lots of spoilers, guys.
This is the most we've talked about our actual D&D game during our D&D podcast.
Because we think about this all the time, both me and you. And we talk about it on the phone, we text about it, we message about it, because me and you think about this constantly. After a session on Sundays, I have dreams about D&D. That's how much it affects my thoughts. I have trouble sleeping because of it.
It's awesome.
It's because I love this. That's why I want to do this full time. I want us to do this full time.
Can I? Okay, I'm going to tell...
That's the dream, Brian.
A spoiler. Spoilers for the items that they all found. We might as well do it right now. Do you want to know what that glove does?
In a second.
Okay.
So not just yet. I want to talk about Rain for a second. And then
part of your head's like, yes, I do. I'm still talking about it. Please tell me, but hold 1 second.
So here's some spoilers from Rain's backstory. I'm not going to give an all-out spoilers because I'll ruin the story. Rain was born privileged. There may be a reason in her Lost World, she was on top of what you said was part of the New Blood housing of the suspended superiority. So these are the new rich people. People who are rich and important, but they're new. So they get a different section. We don't want to with the oldies. But she was born to parents who are newly important. Rain's not important, but her parents are. And Rain, if her parents got to live, would have been quite important.
You know why there's a New Blood section?
Yeah, because new people being allowed in.
Because for the longest time in the kingdom, there was only certain few who had the political power and money to do what is needed to get a land out there. You need to be able to afford somebody to take a chunk either out of the crater, out of the wall, or out of the city itself.
And begin building a house.
One of the queen's magic users magically bring it out there and tie her magic to it that binds it there. You have to spend a fuck ton of money.
I know, Brian. I think you know. I understand. I fully understand. It's not like it exists beforehand.
And then it got to the point where they are right now, where in Xysta's history, where more companies are being made. More people are rising up, so
industrial revolutions on the edge.
So more people were getting the ability. So the old blood, who had the majority of space, is just like, all right, we need to fit these people somewhere. You can get this plot of land.
You get this section.
And I think, spoiler and hint for you, I'm pretty sure did I say it? Well, if I didn't say it yet, you're gonna find it out very quickly from what you stole from the eyeball. The Galloways are all about the property management in place.
Yeah, you said that.
That is what that family is for.
No. I rolled for that and asked, do I know of the Galloway family? Let me roll for history, and you said, you know enough to know that they are property managers.
Yeah.
You might not know who individual members of the family are, but you know the family name is in control.
That is right now.
Oh, yeah.
In the city.
No, Rain knows that, and that's why...
They're the ones who control people who move up and get to that level of society.
That's why Rain...
moving up to different rings.
That's why Rain is worried about the Galloways. Especially now that they're involved with something that might be bringing elementals into the city, which is a danger to the city. Which also means they could be using that to manipulate property values in places, in theory. So that's why she's going to bring that up. If she gets some misfortune, Rain's like, I think the Galloways are worried. And Misfortune's like, the Galloways are loyal. And Rain's like, I think they're loyal to a fault.
But remember, Misfortune did talk about the people who are part of the Eye of All. And she gave her distinct opinion of already.
Oh yeah, she wasn't a big fan of them.
They're just people who believe this God that doesn't exist is the last of the awakened few. We all know that last one is someone Ty'Quorus has yet to create. Yet they choose to believe this false god that doesn't exist.
Irrelevant. They're a danger to the city. And they're causing problems.
And where do you think that danger might come from?
It could come from the eye. It could come from the belief. Rain doesn't know.
They have a distinct tie to the Evermore organization, too.
That's why Rain's going to bring it up to me. And I'm sure Misfortune knows some of this information. There's no way...
Forever forget.
There's no way she doesn't...
It's such a weird thing. I'm a weirdo.
There's no way Misfortune doesn't have some clue about these organizations, but it's kind of just like brush them off. And Rain's is like, I don't think you understand. Based on information I have learned, and Rain's going to make a note. If there's depending on how long our time is at Gossens, or depending on how long the fight is, or if Rain and Andy get a break while they're there to short rest, during her short rest, she's going to be calmly, relaxedly writing notes out of the journal she has. So that way it's not affecting the short rest. Even though it doesn't matter, Rain has almost full HP and she has no intention to get in combat. So, like, it doesn't affect her at all. She doesn't need a short rest.
I'm not doing any fighting today. I'm not training my body. I'm training my brain.
Which is still training. But Rain wants to create a useful note list in, like, a small packet from that.
Oh, my God. My fucking shoulders, dude.
From those
I
two...
need somebody to fucking just crack my back in half.
I can't promise anything.
Oh
from those journals and from the notes, she's going to make pretty much a detailed summary of what they've been trying to do there, and try and figure out if there's any information on how they actually tried to successfully summon elementals into the world.
Getting old is hard, kid.
It is. Don't get old. Live forever. I don't know how you finish it.
I've gone from here. I'm like here now.
Yeah, but you're fat. I'm sorry, Ryan. That's weird. I'm fat too. This sucks.
Oh God. Okay. Continuing.
Training my body.
We're in a lot of pain almost always.
It's just a 5. It's okay. So Rain wants to inform her of that, and also write notes on the crazy lady who wants to fuck the queen, because she's like, I don't know if she's a threat or not.
But I think that really has minimal like worry compared to all this shit, but it's still concerning.
Based on the language in it, it still worries me deeply.
I think
I don't know if it's at a personal level or something else. I might just be creeped out, okay?
I think she might want to wear the queen's skin as like a suit one day.
That was actually my thought. That was literally my thought. That was literally I don't know if that's metaphor or serious. So, like, you should check it out, to be honest.
See, I have the city's best interests at heart. In a way.
I think Rain didn't before today. Her seeing the queen changed her perspective. She has not seen the queen in person since she, as a new blood family, her mom may or may not have been involved with the queen, which is why they were new bloods.
Do you think Rain never saw any public floatings?
When she was a child, no.
No,
Current Rain, yes, she has.
Then she has seen the queen before.
Maybe she wasn't paying attention to the queen herself, because this is the first time she's had, like, face-to-face contact.
Maybe
I think
she not got close enough to actually see
She's only seen the public floatings from Oliver's house.
Which still has a little bit
of distance. It's close. It's still a little bit of distance, and it's still close, but, like, she just saw the floatings and probably didn't hear the announcements and everything, or heard them muffled. It's different than standing, looking eye to eye with the queen in front of the crowd.
Look at you.
Yeah, and having the queen look at you, and that part of your brain trigger, as any of us have had when you've met someone you haven't seen for decades. Sometimes you see a family member you haven't seen for a long time, and your brain goes, memories! Fuck!
You! Oh, God!
And I think that happened to her. Not fully, because I didn't roll for it. I did some role playing. If you notice how Rain reacted after everything, there was a little bit of me.
She also was sitting alone for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that was on purpose because she was thinking. Because she was like, what did I just see? But I was not vocal enough in session, and I should have been a little more vocal, but I was still processing it. I was stoned at my fucking brain. I should not have been stoned for that, because it was such a character moment for Rain. So it was a bad choice, but Rain saw the queen, heard the queen's voice, had the queen look at her in the eyes, and because some neurons in her brain that haven't fired in decades went, the woman whose entire Rain was born. So this is the short version of Rain's supposed to be story if nothing bad happened to her family. Rain was born.
So his headcanon of what would have happened
if Rain didn't lose her parents.
Yes.
Rain's parents were teaching her as much about the sciences and as much about language and politics, which politics don't technically exist yet because there aren't politicians yet. In Xysta, there's only royal houses. Rain was going to be
it's bureaucracy.
It's bureaucracy. There isn't people who are
bureaucrats.
There's not real politicians yet. People whose entire life...
It's just people who are rich who have power.
Yeah. And she was going to become the first politician. That's how her parents didn't initially start training her like that, but saw how bright she was.
So it's Conlan's will to want to be the person.
Oh, yeah.
Be like, let me do this right.
Yeah.
I'm going to start all this and not fuck up, because he
I'm
looks
going
at
to
everything.
solve it.
He looks like at everything that's happened in society in real life, and he's just like, if only I fucking did it.
I could solve so many problems. Like, not everything's perfect, but like, and I know that as Rain. Rain can't. She wouldn't solve anything perfect, but she was destined to be like the queen's right-hand person. Person the queen says, there's unrest in Tyrion town, deal with it. And Rain goes, yes, my queen. And Rain deals with it, and it's swept under the rug, and it's never worried. She was meant to be a loyal subject to the queen to a point of danger to other people in society.
She could have gotten a mask and become a circus.
She would have been the other side of it. She's the public face. She's the one who on the background gives orders, but in the face is the face of the kingdom saying, it's okay.
Yeah.
That would have been what her role was.
Yes, there was an attack of the Eye of All. However, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
you'd be the one to...
She'd down talking to calm the citizens, to bring rest to society.
The Nyalchikar soldiers have it all under control.
But I think the difference is, I think there's a shift politically in Xysta when her parents died.
War propaganda that she could create if she was around during like a war.
Oh yeah, still she may be around during wars. If she ever gets to be the queen's right hand person, and some part of her brain looked at the queen and went, and saw the people standing alongside and went, I'm in the wrong spot. A part of her brain went, I'm in the wrong spot. Why am I standing in the crowd? Some part of her deep brain went from like, not just I want to be powerful, to
I want to be up there on that stage.
I'm supposed to be standing next to the queen.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be one who stands there and makes sure, who identifies a threat and alerts the group before the threat does anything.
Sees that Arakakra up on the...
Gently...
And that's why she took that shot.
Yep. Because her brain went, this is my job. That's why her excuse is, I was there to protect the people. Her brain went, the queen's in danger, and she fired. Because Rain was born to be not where she is. She was born to be the queen's right hand. The queen's public eye. The person who changes the city to regain the queen's control. Because at least in my mind, Rain's mind, she's she thinks the queen's power is waning because she can clearly see the criminal underworld is getting way more powerful. And the guard are doing less and less about it because they can't. They're like, we'll start a war, and that's worse. We can't fight a war inside the city.
Talk about a civil war.
Because the city seems like it's nearing that edge where the Liberator wants to push to civil war and overthrow the queen.
And you also know the pipelines, too. Like, that's some dangerous shit living under the city.
Yeah, and the guard aren't ready to handle that. They would be dragged into it killed and slaughtered.
The last time the guard got involved in that type of stuff was nearing 100 years ago.
As stated, the queen's lost control of the Undersister completely. With a strong, charismatic leader like the Liberator, she has gained so much power. At least is what I see. I do not know everything, and Rain knows a little bit, probably more than me in some ways, and less than me in some ways, because I've seen outside stuff in Ladris and crap, and Rain doesn't know about the political situation in Ladris, Nyra's Grove, and the Blessed Feet. She doesn't know that the kingdom's become more oppressive and less for the people than it used to be. I see in like the past, the queen was very much the people matter, the people matter, the people matter. And now the people are getting out of control, and she's like, I think the only way is to push them down, which is a reasonable thought that leaders have had for thousands of years, and sometimes it works. Sometimes you knock down a rebellion, it's over. Or sometimes you knock down a rebellion, and it only gets stronger, because that means you prove you don't care about the people. And that's why I see, at least how I wrote in my brain as headcanon, not spoilers technically, is Rain's parents were kind of the people who were like, who her mom at least, who was close with the queen, went, we need to change our policy. And the queen's like, what do you mean? the people are beginning to hate you. If the people hate you, you can't lead them. And she was honest and kind about it. Not like, you know you're a bitch. She was settled down. I was like, if we begin donating towards these things, or even some of the nobles start donating themselves, in the background, it will improve. And her mom began donating to orphanages, helping poor people get better, which probably improved the queen's political situation temporarily until that advisor died, and she was wrong. Assert power. Power is good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's what happened. That's your choice to write. That's a headcanon in my head. And that goes under the, I want Rhaen's parents to be good people who tried to be good. Like, obviously they're in a corrupt society, so it's only so good you can be, realistically, to get in power. You have to do some shitty stuff. It's just a fact. You have to sell books way too expensive or whatever. Spoilers. But,
excuse me?
Either way.
Excuse me?
I see Rhaen was born to be trained in several more languages, trained to verbally be able to defend herself, be able to win any argument, get into any debate.
Be a master debater.
Yeah. Literally walk into any debate, and someone begins saying, and she's like, I know what joke you're making. I wasn't giving you the light of day. And absolutely wreck any noble person in a debate, and then be like, I apologize. Thank you, Rhaen. And just leave. And then the queen be like, okay, I guess your opinion's the winner on that one. Like, I imagine that's how her parents didn't originally, like, they had a daughter and went, oh, we have a daughter, awesome. And then they learned their daughter was really brilliant, and they're like, we have to make her this. Which is horrible to force your kid into that, but, like, she was born to do that. She was born to change Xysta. Mm-hmm. And instead, she got knocked down a whole bunch and became obscure. So, the arc
would clash with... Oh, I really can't tell if you would clash or go well with Matt's character, because both of you are so prideful. But you are so prideful, because Rhaen is, I was meant for all of this, and I will have it. I know. And he's just like, I know what I want to do, and it's going to happen. Both of you guys are so prideful in yourselves.
But I think they have such different means to end, which is something me and Matt talked about when we were hanging out. Is me and him are both very different people. It's our personality differences. Matt is... I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to insult him. I know he's not watching right now. But, like, you're awesome, dude. So I'm going to preface it by that. I'm not good at describing people's feelings towards things. I might be wrong. I'm sorry. He seems to have a more, quote, like, socialist, everyone can try and do good in the world. Well, I'm a little more pessimistic than normal people are. Like, even if I'm more pessimistic than normal people are.
Why do you think every single time things start going bad in sessions, he's like, oh, well, this is going to happen. Well, he's dead. Oh, goodbye, Serenity.
Yeah. I'm a little negative sometimes.
You see one bad thing, you're just like, oh, okay, well, everything's going to shit.
I just know I have mental health issues. But I have a personal belief, separate of those mental health issues, that not all people are born good. There's a couple of different belief systems that are talked about in political philosophy. One is that all humans are naturally good and we create government because it's easier to do things. That's generally the socialist approach of government. Then there's the other one, the negative version, which is closer to the capitalist version of government, which is humans are inherently bad and they need government to control them so they don't act badly. So that way a group of better people can try and decide and say to the bad people, stop being stupid. Mm-hmm. I'm in the middle. Which isn't a real... there are philosophers that talk about that middle, but I couldn't name them to you. I can name those other... I used to be able to name those other two. American
you
want
to be around to tell people you're being stupid while also giving them the freedom to do what stupid things they want to do.
Within reason.
Yes.
So I'm in the middle where I believe most people are born good to neutral good. Like, they're okay. They don't have any want to harm. Mm-hmm. But there are people who are born evil. Pure evil that's unchangeable. Some of them choose to be good because they see it has benefits, or they see it can help them. So actually they're being good for negative reasons.
Can I talk about something on here that relates to that?
In a second.
That I've never talked about in stream.
In 1 second. Let me finish my statement, and then you can. Okay? Then we have to get on to that item.
Yeah.
I still remember. I'm still on it. Still sharp. I'm buzzed as shit, but I'm still sharp. So I'm kind of on the edge because I personally believe I might be inherently evil.
I know I'm inherently good.
No, you are. And you balance me. That's why we're really close friends. But I'm only willing to be evil for the better good. Because I believe in the goodness of mankind. Mm-hmm. It's such a weird feeling to be, is I am inherently evil, and what keeps me from killing people or doing crazy things is there's laws. And I have enough self-conscious to be like, there's just enough good in me to be like, I don't want to get in trouble.
Neutral good? Neutral evil?
Yeah, it's like neutral evil. It's kind of like a neutral evil, neutral, neutral. I am closer to neutral evil, neutral, neutral.
Neutral, evil, neutral.
Yeah, which is weird because I'm playing Rain, who's kind of neutral, neutral, who she'll sway that way, and she'll sway good because she's inherently a good person.
Just like I want to be good.
Because her soul, in her deep, dark soul, she is neutral good. But because of the life she's been forced to live, she has to be evil. So she's become a neutral character because of that. She's become true neutral because she's had no choice. That's why she sometimes follows the law in a bad way. That's why she's gotten friends arrested because that is easier to tell the truth and get them arrested, be lawful evil, than to get prosecuted herself.
You said to me before stream that Rain does not get along with this idea from Lelouch of like, in order to defeat evil, I'll become an even greater evil. But I think of that when you say that right there of, I'm inherently good, which Lelouch...
No, I'm more like Lelouch. I'm Lelouch.
Oh, true. Oh, yeah.
No, I'm Lelouch. Rain I am.
Because...
That's why I like the character, Brian. He's wonderful.
He's just like, I want to do good, but there's all this stuff, and you fuckers, I'm going to become worse than you because you're terrible.
I am more like Lelouch.
Mm-hmm.
In my, I'm willing to become more evil to distract mankind to do good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to, force people to unite. Rain's not like that, though. She is not like that. Rain is, I see the goodness in Xysta. Even in the bad parts of Xysta, I know there's goodness because I've met great people. But the city is forcing those great people to be bad people. And there are bad people in Xysta. There's no argument for that. Because she is the same thing as some people born evil. Rain's not born evil, though. This is my negative opinion of myself, probably because I have a mental health disorder. I think I was born evil because I think about hurting people way too much for an average human being. So, I think I might be evil, but I don't act on it because I'm I want to be good. Mm-hmm. I desire so hard to be a good person because I love so many humans. My name means hero, by the way. I'm playing 2 heroes in campaign.
I'm inherently evil, but I'm named a hero.
Yeah. So, it's one of those, it means I'm willing to do crappy things to be a hero. Which is,
So, anti-hero.
Yeah, I myself am more of an anti-hero. And I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. Rain is less anti-hero. She's on the edge. She's the anti-hero, but only to the people who don't like her. Mm-hmm. To everyone else, she's fucking yeah! Because she's the kind of person who's would sell out a dai or a lord or a baron who's doing criminal acts and would pretty much get just involved enough to know what's happening and sell them out to the guard for them to be arrested as a political power play. To be now you all know this is what's happening with the corruption in the city. If I see it continue, if the queen sees it continue, I promise your families will have no money and I will get to inherit your power.
With a smile on her face.
Yeah, and she'll have no care about it. She'll be and that's your choice. And she'll speak self-consciously good because she did the right thing. It's in the horrible way of destroying an entire family. Turning the whole family poor down the streets, but she's but you deserve it. Mm-hmm. The people in the city do not. They've worked their asses off.
I've been through this. Good luck.
Good luck. People running the bars, people living in the streets, dying of disease. They've worked so hard. They deserve more. She's one of those people who's in a perfect capitalist society would be those Costco who pays their employees really well, gives them great benefits. It's yeah, we didn't raise the price of the hot dog in 35 years. She's that's how she is. She's that the benevolent, company, but she wants power. Because like companies like that, they still want power. It's just they don't want power for bad reasons, or they believe that if you have power, you should use it in some kind of responsible way. Because guess what? It makes you more money in the long term. In the short term, it hurts you. Being benevolent hurts you in the short term as a company, because you're going to have to lose some money temporarily to make people have faith in you. But that faith in the long term means your business will last forever, because your employees will love you and say your praises and say, no, please shop here. They treat us like gods, please. And then if you shop here, you'll save money. And then if your brother works here, it'll be awesome. He'll make all this money and they'll be taken care of. That's how she would run a business. Mm-hmm. If she was running Xysta's, say if her company got the contracts to build Xysta's future weapon systems or whatever, she'd pay everyone super well. She'd pay her engineers great. And they'd all be like, she would pay people to keep them like somebody they would want to be loyal. Not because she's forcing them to be loyal like so many nobles in history have. Mm-hmm. Whether you're forced to be loyal, you die. That's your option. Loyalty, die. You obviously only have two options, and there's only really one to pick.
Loyalty, die, die.
Yeah, ha 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 ha. That's literally why you use that. I know. It's funny. But
actually, no. I called them die because I made it off of the idea came from how knights are called knight with a K, but there's also knight without the K. So day and then day turned into die.
That's a cool idea. I like that.
That is where I came up with that.
I like that idea. That's very cool. But the point is, Rain would be the kind of person where she would make everyone want to work for her. Mm-hmm. And by people wanting to work for her, more people would try and work for her and then buy her products because they hear great things. And then the military would be like, you make great products based on what everyone says. Mm-hmm. And that would then continue to perpetuate money because they would continue to pay into her, which would also give you political power because there's she pays us all so well and she takes care of us all. And she doesn't even pay herself that much. She would be a person who wouldn't pay herself, and you'd learn. It probably would become a scandal. Where's all Die Reigns or Lady Reigns or Duchess Reigns, depending on what PowerPoint she is at that point, 20 years ago. She's donating tons of money is disappearing out of her accounts. And she'd have to be like, so I didn't want to make this public because I didn't think I needed credit for it. I donate fuck tons of money to charity. Everyone's just like, wait, what? That's the whole political scandal, guys. I donate a lot of money to charity. I just keep it off the books because I don't need credit. And then everyone's like, oh my god, the savior of society! Because she's not that vain. She's vain in her appearance, but that's about it. Mm-hmm. She's not vain about... And if she hit power, she wouldn't need to be vain about the power. She just wants the power. Because as soon as she has it, she goes, good, now I can implement it. Mm-hmm. That's who she is. She's not a person who just... There's some people who just keep drawing and need more and more and more and need endless power.
I feel like Rain also is going to be the one who gets her hands involved in so many things she really wanted nothing to do with.
Oh, absolutely!
This stuff with the Galloways, she probably read it and she's like, if I keep on reading more, I'm going to get involved.
And then I need to know, and then I need to either solve it.
And then I need to decide what I want to do with that. Do I get involved? Do I stop it? Do I join it? Oh.
Yeah, no, that's her.
That's why it's going to be interesting for Rain to see Rain. That's why it's going to be interesting to see Rain in the monastery. She knows very little about what actually goes on in the monastery.
I think she knows enough to be respectful. Mm-hmm. I think she's read enough about knowing about monks and stuff that she's going to be pretty respectful of Cossin. I hope he's going to be impressed at a random commoner.
Oh, I'm not just saying about Cossin. I'm preparing for you to probably want to sneak around the monastery with Andy at some point if something happens.
If Andy wants to. I think Rain's going to be very respectful.
Because there's stuff going on in the monastery that you might notice.
Oh.
It might be
She might get curious. She might stop for a minute and listen. Mm-hmm. But I think Rain's going to do her best to be very respectful. Because it's one of those, she doesn't want that group against her.
I just realized something I have to prep for tomorrow. Because it's going to happen. I just remembered it. Andy's neighbor.
Oh, she's gonna be so pissed. She's gonna be so pissed off and ask Andy.
What did I name her? I named her on the spot. It was Janora because I was thinking. I was thinking of a name and I'm like, I just saw Coral last night. Janora's cool. Your name's Janora Monk.
I was lazy at this one. I remember laughing so hard. I was just like,
that was the extent of that one. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't prepare Andy's neighbor. Why did I think that Andy would have thought who's his neighbor? I'm like, god, fucking monk name. Chinora! That's where that came from.
absolutely. So
It's almost 1 o'clock.
it's life.
Okay, so why don't we wrap up with that really quickly?
No, you need to tell me what that item does?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We wrap up with that really quickly. The one thing I wanted to say that I'd never seen on stream before, I'll just really brief because it means very nothing, but the book series that I wrote since I was in 8th grade. I tried, I haven't published it. I'm going to publish it one day. I like prologues, like little words, before a short page or two, because I write my books as if my main character's writing them further in his life. And he writes a little page or two before everything. And the second one was called The Undetermined, and he talks about the people who are predestined to be good from birth and predestined to be evil. And then there's the undetermined, the ones where it's just like it could go either way. So when you started talking about that, I was just like, it's a concept I really have wanted to roll with in my book series, and I was like, yes, I love that.
That's how I've always thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's because people like Hitler, inherently evil. There's people who are inherently evil. There's no solving them.
All I'm thinking about, oh my god.
You have to tell me like what.
Hold on, real quick. That comedy special I said I will never show you.
Yeah.
With
What's his face? Not important. Keep going.
Whatever his name. His comedy special's name is Dark, and then Puzzles. Not Puzzles. Jigsaw. And one of the first things in his Jigsaw skit, he talks about it and says like, say what you want about he was just like he's talking about passion, and he was and it's just like, say what you want about Hitler, passionate man. Pause for a second. He was like, about the wrong things, but passionate nonetheless. Yeah, it's that type of thing.
It's like Rain. Rain's passionate, but she's passionate for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Her what the fuck the things there in D&D Beyond is she never wants anyone to feel the way she felt.
Yeah.
She's seen people dying in the streets of disease. She's sat in a wet alley watching people's bodies literally rot as they die and starve to death. Mm-hmm. She's felt the pain of starving to death.
Mm-hmm.
She never wants anyone to feel that way. And that's what drives her inherent goodness. That's why she helped the little kid who got hurt.
And she knows she can never end that entirely.
She knows that. And she even will say that. Even if she ever had to write a speech, she'd be like, I know nothing can ever be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Society is not perfect. But we can do our best. And she's the kind of like a hopeful message, which is a change of pace of the current kingdom that seems to be getting, not on purpose, but because they feel their grip slipping in some ways, and now they're under a siege from attack in Ladris, the Grove, the Blessed Feet. They're like, fuck. We need to show a power to show that we're still okay, so that way we're not thought to be weak. At least this is how I see it. This is me, Conlan Rose, not Rain.
Yeah.
But the kingdom's getting inadvertently more oppressive because they're losing control.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kingdoms do sometimes when they lose control. And sometimes it works. And it works fine. Sometimes it doesn't, and it causes revolt. And I see Nara's Grove one day pushing back because they hate having troops there. Mm-hmm. Especially because none of the troops are from the Grove. And that's what's different between Rain, is Rain believes if you're to police a region, you must be familiar with the region. Something I talked to Vicky about when you left the other day.
Sorry, just wanted to say, I just realized what's going on in the main campaign as you guys caused a terrorist attack in Xysta City. You guys are leaving Nyra's Grove to go up to Ladris.
Yep.
So as you guys turn the bend and start heading back up to Ladris that night...
Yeah, the city's gonna be fucked up when we get there.
You basically was essentially a terrorist attack.
Rain burnt the table for 3 reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Reasons. 1, it was a great distraction.
It was. No one's saying anything other than
guys. It was a bad choice. Mm-hmm. It's one of those doing something evil for the inherent greater good.
There was already an attack on the Queen of that same location a few hours before that.
There was a weighted choice.
They're gonna link those together.
Oh yeah! But luckily, which is good. That works for our plausible deniability because we weren't involved with the other one.
I stopped the other one.
Proof innocent. This one's glaring deeply at me. I know you're involved with both. I was not involved with the first one. We've already been over this.
I feel like you're lying to me. I'm not. Why does everybody think I'm lying?
You're a goddamn paladin and fucking cast Zone of Truth. Watch. I'll fucking tell you the truth.
That's the beautiful thing about having Zone of Truth in world. She was like, fucking just Zone of Truth me. Zone of Truth me right now. I dare you.
I'll give you the whole goddamn story. Ask any question. Oh, maybe not any question. There's some I definitely don't want to answer.
Okay, we need to bring this stream to a close soon. So we're going to pause the rest of that conversation for off stream.
Oh yeah, because we can talk for hours.
Oh my god. But the last thing is I need to share this item to you.
Yes.
So it's called King Natalia's Chilled Palm.
Hmm?
So you're going to hate me for that name.
Why?
King Natalia.
King Natalia?
King Natalia.
That's hard to say. King Natalia.
King Natalia.
Rain won't know the name, so it's irrelevant.
King Natalia is a... When attuned to this glove, all unarmed strikes you make deal an additional 1d6 points of cold damage.
Ooh, fuck yeah. Rain has Tavern Brawler.
You are also resistant to cold damage.
Oof.
And you gain an ability called King Natalia's Ferociously Chilling Will. As an action, you can make a contested dexterity check against an unwilling creature to attempt to special grapple them. On a success, you grab the creature's forehead. You must then roll a contested constitution check as your will and resolve amplify the freezing power of the ice and attempt to overpower their opponent's will. On a success against your opponent, the creature is a special type of petrified, frozen, until the end of your next turn. Frozen creature is vulnerable to fire damage but resistant to all else. On a failure of a difference of 5 or less, the creature is slowed by 20 feet and can't take reactions until the end of your turn. On a failure of a difference of 6 or greater, nothing happens. So you can essentially just
try to... negatives?
No.
I love all the fucking items. I love when you make items that are like, no, these ones aren't cursed.
No, this one's just good.
It was meant for rain.
You're resistant to cold damage. You get additional cold damage when you hit people. And you can try to use your will to overpower somebody.
How pretty is the glove?
It's an old leather glove. It's worn.
Rain might not. Rain's going to wear that when she's doing normal people clothes, but she will not wear it when wearing fancy clothes if it's worn.
Mm-hmm.
She's already... Okay, we're going to end this stream because we're going to talk like forever. Because we know us.
Thank you guys for watching. I don't know if we ever intro.
Welcome to the DisasterCast stream, episode 8.
Session, episode 8.
I'm Conlan Rose.
I'm Bryan Creevy.
I play Rain and Bracket. He's the DM.
Good night.
We're the worst.